Not yet, at least.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's meeting. As I call this August the 10th regularly scheduled council meeting to order at 6 o'clock. If you can silence your phones, stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge.
So, loving and gracious Father, we just thank you for another day in the land of the living, another day to be able to serve the community. We just thank you that we are able to function in wisdom and with decency and in order. In his name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call when you're ready, John.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Here.
Councilor Arnold,
Present.
Councilor Lanneman,
Present.
Councilor Miles,
Here.
Mayor Wells.
Yeah.
We have a quorum.
Again, welcome to everybody. Thank you for coming out to this council meeting. We have a lot on the agenda, so we'll try to get through it as quickly as possible and get you back home again. Agenda review and approval. Any changes anybody wants to the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this time I'll open public question and comment. Anyone wishing to address the mayor and town council on an item that's not on tonight's agenda is asked to come to the podium, speak their name and address, and each person will be allocated 3 minutes.
Hello, Andy Everline, 1012 North Lakeshore Boulevard. I was just curious. I've heard that the Friends of the Library is disbanding, and I was wondering if that was true. And if so, could it be brought up at a meeting and maybe there be people in the community that would be interested in getting involved? What do you think, Sean?
That's a 501c3. I don't know that they're separate from the town. They're independent. I do not know that they are disbanding or not. I've heard some rumors. I could not speak to that unless there's anyone else who knows more than that.
Do you know anything?
We're not planning on disbanding, but we could use additional involvement.
Okay. All right, well, maybe it could be,
Particularly somebody has good accounting skills.
well, that leaves me out. I'm telling you right now, you don't
But
want
no,
me.
we could use some additional help. We had a meeting last week. We're gonna be continuing on. We're losing the treasurer, which is probably really the most significant position, but you know what? We will carry on as best as we can.
Okay. Yeah, because I heard that some of the programs might get dropped.
That's always a question of funding.
Uh-huh.
Not if we have anything to do about that. But we still do a lot of fundraising in terms of seeking donations from other organizations,
Uh-huh.
such as Advent Health, Orlando Health. And Friends will be holding a Meet the Candidates Forum. We have not decided when we're going to do that yet, but I would imagine it will be late September, very early October. So that folks will have a chance to meet the candidates and ask some questions. I just got to find out the name of the gal who provided all the goodies last year and get her lined up again.
All right, and my other question is, there's a tree on Camellia Way that's dead. And I know they've taken down little by little, but I was wondering what the next, if it's planning on going down all the way. It's, I think, is that one of the pines, is that what that is?
And that would be best addressed to Mr. Cates. You might even know which tree.
Yeah,
you're
it's
referring
on
to?
Camellia Way, it's in the right of way, over by David's house. Oh, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because I know you started and then it kind of stopped, so I was just curious.
I do. C. Maxwell, 803 Camino Royale Boulevard in beautiful Howey-in-the-Hills. Good evening, Mayor, councilors, and esteemed neighbors, visitors, and staff. I want to raise an issue tonight that I believe deserves considerably more public attention in Howey-in-the-Hills, the use of automated license plate readers, commonly known as flock cameras. Over the last several weeks, I've been learning much more about these systems, how they operate, not simply as cameras that help locate a stolen vehicle, but as part of a much larger network capable of recording where vehicles have been, when they were there, and making that information searchable and potentially available beyond the agency that collected it. So tonight, I am not asking the council to debate all the merits of the dangers of flock tonight. I am asking for transparency. I would like residents to know, how many license plate reader cameras does the town own, lease, operator have access to? Where are they located? What does the town pay for them? How long is the data retained? Who inside the Howey Police Department can search the system? What other law enforcement agencies or entities can access data generated by cameras in Howey? And what other flock cameras, including those owned by Lake County or other agencies, can Howey officers search? Most importantly, I would like to understand when the town council discussed and approved this surveillance capability and what opportunity residents had to understand its implications before it was implemented. And I would also like to know what ongoing oversight exists, who reviews the search logs, how often these searches are audited, and whether outside HPD people that search our data, who's tracking that, and is the use appropriate? There is an enormous difference between using technology to investigate a particular crime and creating a searchable record of the movements of thousands of people who were suspected of absolutely nothing. These questions deserve a public conversation.
Can you just address that? Because I don't think we have any flock cameras at all.
I think our police chief can address the flock camera question. If the mayor would like the police chief to.
Again, Johnny Batchelor. I'm
Chief
sorry,
Batchelor can use
excuse me. Johnny Batchelor, interim chief. Currently, we have one within the city limits that we are working with. Currently, we have one within the city limits that we are working with the Lake County Sheriff's Office, who monitors and operates it. We're working under their operating procedures. It's an ongoing investigation, so I'm not going to comment further, but I can assure you that all steps are being taken and managed by the sheriff's office accordingly.
Where is the camera, Lieutenant?
Wild Irish, is that Iris? My apologies. It's visible. You can see it.
I don't even know where Iris is. I'm gonna go there.
Hillside Groves.
Oh, I
in the middle,
see.
yeah.
Did you want to say anything more on that, or
Answer the questions.
Marie Galali, 1104 North Tangerine? Can you tell me the status of the police chief search?
Yeah,
Please?
that is still open until August 14th.
Oh, okay, I thought it was the end of July. Okay, so till August 14th.
It's about a 45-day period. that we
Okay,
have it open.
okay. With what went on this weekend with the estate sale, what's the status? You can't put any kind of estate or sale signs on 19, but we had before. Has something changed?
So FDOT has clearly categorically stated that there should be nothing in FDOT right of way. Now, if people want to have something on their own private property, which would be outside the right of way.
So if somebody
that's
we know lives on 19 and allows us to put a sign on their grass on the other
in
side,
their yard,
that's
right.
acceptable.
That would be acceptable. And if there was something done before, I mean, that might have been because code didn't see it or someone didn't see it. I can't.
Okay,
speak
so
to
it's
that.
just an FDOT that you can't be on the right of way with the signs.
Well, right, and also within the town generally, there shouldn't be signs in the right of way either. But I know there was a question specifically about 19,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
that's FDOT.
Is that also true of all this political signs?
That would be true for political signs as well. You can put them in your yard, but not in the right of way.
Okay,
So.
all right, thank you.
Though Carol Roki, 505 Mission Lane, Howie. As I was collecting signatures for candidates for council over the last week or so, I had several neighbors that spoke to me about a house that is right across the street from me. It's 504 Mission Lane. The owner of the house is Betty Lou Beam, a single lady, and she left 7+ years ago to go up to Maryland. She has communicated with no one in the meantime. Obviously, she was just going for a few days. You don't clean the refrigerator if you're just going for a few days. So the house has fallen into worse and worse disrepair. It's horrible. Weeds are growing in the windows and no one can reach her. What's happening with code enforcement?
So I can address that unless you had anything else that you wanted to use your 3 minutes for.
No.
Okay. So I talked to code enforcement about that today, as a matter of fact. He said with the current code that we have and everything that he's seen, he does not see anything currently in violation of code. He said he's been in other municipalities where a green pool, for example, would be a violation of code. And I know that's been a cited example in this particular case. He looked through the code and he said, well, Howie does not have a green pool item in their code, and that would be something he wants to bring forward to be adopted. But if you see something that you feel is particularly against code, but he did review the site and did not see anything that he saw against code, but do feel free. We do have his business cards in the lobby. I say that to anybody. If you see a place and you feel it's against code, please give him a call, talk to him about it. Either maybe you'll point out something he didn't see, or you'll understand more about code, or a little bit of both. But he has looked at that.
Well, the place is a mess. At this point, it's going to be a tear down, I fear. And with the neighbors living on each side, with what kind of animals might have worked their way into the house, I don't know. And if a child fell in that pool, never find it. So thank you.
Maybe we should review the code on derelict homes, just so that this can be dealt with in the future. I know
there's a lot of overgrowth at that house, moving into the doorways and everything else.
We should just have a look at the code in Esther too, because we brought people to the magistrate for those very things, put fines on those houses. They can usually go at $25 a day, but up to $250 a day. And then, if it's not a homesteaded property, you foreclose on it, and then ultimately it can be sold and demolished. So we should do that for sure. Hello.
Can I say something?
Sure you can.
A couple years ago, actually it was 2014, when I was sitting here with the council, there was a house at 211 East Laurel Avenue. And I helped the council at that point go through the process to demo the house. The special magistrate had found that the house presented a serious threat to the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents in the town. And I did a memo. I sent that, I think I sent it to you too, Sean, but I sent it to your new code enforcement officer and to John and to Morgan just this weekend, as a matter of fact. So I thought maybe there's something in there. I don't know what the status of this house is right now, but it sounds to me like it's similar to what happened at 211 East Laurel.
Thank you.
Any others from the audience for public comment?
Ann Griffin, 215 East Laurel. Just like to ask a question about a sign out here that we put information on. Is everybody that's running for council allowed to have their name up there? Because the only one's up there now is John Arnold. So,
I can address that. I mean, and I don't want to take away your time. But I can address that. So if a counselor wants to have a meet and greet, a public education meeting, it's like coffee with a cop or things like that. So, I mean, if a counselor wants to do,
oh, I thought it was strictly for just for running.
No.
To be a counselor.
Time.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. And the other thing is, if you sit back in the back, and I can hear good because I've been tested, you can't hear any of you. Really? Maybe Sean, but and I understand sometimes you can't hear me either when I get up here. But whether you have to have a little clip microphone or something, you've got to do something because people want to hear. And we all can't sit up front. Okay? Thank you.
thank you.
I did also notice that on Zoom, when we had the meeting about the sewer the other day, I was trying to listen in on that online, and you could hear the people with the microphone. You could not hear anybody in the audience, and that's a lot closer to these microphones. So I think we do need to do something, and I think tomorrow may be a good idea to put money in the budget, whatever it costs, because this is crazy.
I had submitted 2 years ago a bid, ran about $8,500.
That sounds pretty reasonable. Well, I think we need to talk about that tomorrow at the budget hearing, budget workshop. We have somebody online.
Yes. If you want to put Tina on the screen. Okay, Tina, if you'd like to go ahead.
Yes, Tina St. Clair, 143 East Central Avenue, Howey-in-the-Hills. Good evening. Just a couple of questions. One, you, Mayor Wells, you just mentioned the budget meeting. Would you go over what the status of the meetings are coming up for the budget for everyone, please? I look on the calendar, but not necessarily everyone checks that. And then the second one is in regards to the sewer meeting and what came out of that. What's the next steps for that? Thank you.
Okay. So for the budget meetings, we do have our third budget workshop tomorrow here at 1 p.m. And then we will have the two public hearings for the budget. The first is, they're both in September. The first is on Wednesday, September 9th at 5:05 p.m. And the second is Wednesday, September 23rd, 2 weeks later at 5:05 p.m. So again, that'll make 5 budget meetings total, the third of which is tomorrow. It's the last workshop, followed by 2 public hearings in September. As to the downtown sewer corridor project, we will be bringing something forward to the next council meeting. I will say the workshop was not quite what we were expecting. We were expecting the parties that were directly affected come. We were expecting it to be a little more back and forth with each of the affected individuals to find out what their particular needs were. Mr. Case and I have talked to some people one-on-one, but the way that the meeting went, we had about 50 plus people, I feel, and most of them were not in the affected area. So it was not the most useful feedback in order to say, what percent of affected parties felt a certain way or needed particular assistance or things like that. So we will be assembling what notes we can. I do plan on honestly calling each of the affected individuals before that time because frankly, I didn't feel like I got a full picture of everyone's relative situation from the way that meeting went. We will be talking today on items somewhere in here with distributed wastewater. Actually, I think it's just one item. Item number 7. We will be talking about the distributed wastewater, sewer, and grant opportunities, which will also help with the downtown sewer corridor construction costs potentially. So we are investigating every possible option.
That answer your question, Tina?
Oh, she's muted.
She's muted, okay. All right, anybody else in the audience? Then I'll close public comment. And we'll move on to the consent agenda where we have 2 items. One is the approval of minutes for the July 27th council meeting, the last council meeting, and also consideration and approval of resolution 2026-017 building services fee schedule amendment to do with the House Bill 803 compliance.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay. And
Just
the reason, nay, I didn't vote for it in the first place. The permit fees for little town like ours, residential, I think are too high. So that's why I say nay.
just for future reference, I do not like resolutions, ordinances, or such like to be in the consent agenda. I think that up front they should be on new business and they should be discussed accordingly, including the reading of the resolution. But that passes 3-2. So we'll move on to the public hearing. Consideration and approval of the second reading of ordinance 2026-002 shed locations. An ordinance of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida, pertaining to the use of land, providing findings, amending section 5.01.09 of the town's land development code, relating to allowable setbacks and placement of the storage sheds, providing for codification, severability, and an effective date. April, would you just like to give us the 10,000-foot view of this?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and councilors. So this item came before you for first reading, and there was discussion about changes that you would like to see made to it for your final consideration. So we did go back and make those changes, and just to give that 10,000-foot look, it would allow storage sheds to be located in the rear and the rear side yard, meeting a 5-foot setback. Additionally, if they're over 144 square feet, they have to meet a 10-foot setback. We made that clearer in the code so people don't have to hunt for that. Additionally, we added that any shed that doesn't already have a fence on the property, if it can be seen from the front or from the right of way, it has to have a fence around it. It can only be placed around or behind an existing fence on the property as well. So with those changes, they're proposed to be codified and staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much as I remember we discussed it. So let me open this up for public comment.
Joshua Houston, 671 Abigail Place. So this was me that pushed this from P and Z. And while I do appreciate the consideration of allowing it outside the rear, one of the big pushes I pushed for this was property rights and homeowner rights. And that's why I thought it was, basically somebody's pet project to push them behind the house. So I do appreciate the pushing out, but I do think we are still restricting. I know there was recommendations to allow to the front plane, which I agree kind of looks tacky. But I thought maybe if we could have the setback from the front of the house, either a standard of 15, 20, 25 feet, it still allows it in the side yard for the folks. Prime example, one that came up for to P and Z that asked for basically a variance. He could not put it even where this code would allow because of this hill of his home. So allowing it in the side yard, but setting a specific setback of either 15, 20, 25, 30, whatever, even going to the fact, I thought about like, okay, you could go by based on the depth of the house. If the house is 50 feet, you have to do 25. I have a house that's almost 75 feet. I'd have to do 37 and a half. I don't want to get the code too confusing. So if you said something like a 20 or 25, it still allows them to put it in that side yard. And while I understand the fencing requirements, one of the concerns I have there is if someone goes out and can get a $3,000 to $4,000 shed, put it in the side yard, now they're going to have to spend 5, 10, 15,000, put a fence in front of it. So it will deter. I know in Talashe, one of the things we have problems with is people use their garages for storage sheds. They don't have the space. If they have a shed, we can get all that stuff out of the garage. And now instead of a bunch of cars in the street, maybe they go in the driveway, maybe they go in the garage. Thank you.
Marie Galal, Marie Galal, 1104 North Gentry. Just a question, is, depending on what you guys decide on Mr. Hughesman's comments about side and feedback, fence, I think a fence, if it's on the side, is an important thing. As far as the look of the shed, there was a while back, somebody wanted to put up a shed, a large shed, and they were told it had to look like the structure of the house. I mean, it had to blend. It can't just be a sheet metal.
144,000.
Sorry, say that again?
If it's a 12 by 12, 144 square feet or larger, then it has to be architecturally like the house. Anything under, which is kind of a drop-off shed that you buy from Home Depot,
Right.
does not have to.
It could just be purple.
It could be, and that's why we put a fence in front of it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Anybody online? Then I'll close public comment, bring it back to council. Anybody like to make a motion to approve the ordinance?
Make a motion to approve the ordinance as such. The shed needs to really be behind the home and a fence. If we begin in the process of having sheds in the side yard where they can be seen from the street, it can begin to look a little.
Well, this allows them to have them in the side yard with a 5-foot setback from the side, but that's the reason why if it's visible from the front, it has to be behind
have
a
a
fence,
Mhm.
which is typically going to be a 6-foot fence.
Mhm.
Okay, I have a motion, a second. Do I have any other council discussion? April, just for argument's sake, does it specify the height of the fence in this?
Well, fences are not specified as far as height in this section, but there is a fence section that dictates where you can have a 4-foot fence or a 6-foot fence. So you, in the front yard, your fence can't be any taller than 4 feet.
Yeah, I understand that part.
But in the side and the rear be 6 feet.
It has to be, or that's the preference.
It has to be.
So in front of any shed, it would have to be a 6-foot.
That's correct.
Okay,
There's not a
that's all I
range.
wanted to know. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Can I have a-
I'd like to add real quick too, HOA PUD
I was about to say.
can also
Mhm.
add a more stringent requirement.
Correct. And if in a HOA, and we have to be considerate of that, being that we're going to have communities that are coming into the town that are HOAs, is that it's on a conservation. The conservation is a 4-foot and everything else must be 6. So we need to think about that.
So the one clarification I would make, if it's written into the PUD development
Mhm.
order, then it would apply. But if it's an HOA covenant document, that's not a regulation of the town. So the town would not be enforcing HOA documents
Right.
only.
Okay, thank you.
But
Okay.
just so folks understand that
there may be additional requirements that their HOA imposes in addition to what the town has in place.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, let me just bring one up because in Venezia, the first turning on I believe the right-hand side, I can never remember if it's Messina or Bellizza. Messina. There's a house down there on the left-hand side, couple of doors down, which then has a shed in its backyard, which as you come out of the subdivision, you can see that shed because there is no rear fence. So,
Oh, you're speaking about when you're coming down Venezia Boulevard, but the home is located on Messina.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we do about that? Because frankly, that's just as much of an eyesore as it is for anything that can be seen from the front yard.
That is something that has been addressed by our architectural board. I am going to yield that to Councilor Arnold because I know there was a lot of conversation and letters that went back and forth about that.
Yeah. So because the HOA said no, we don't have anything in our DCCs that say you have to have a fence around the shed. That's what he was hiding behind. We thought it was in the Howey. Guess what? There wasn't anything in the Howey ordinances at that time. This will take care of that and we'll be able to do that. The only thing that Venezia and Talche, because they both share the same declarations, they just talk about color fence, style, and that's pretty much it as far as it goes. And you can't put any fencing around your front yard in your house.
But with that's not gonna take care of
No,
the rear
it
look. is
will
what he's
not
talking
because
about.
that
Yeah,
would
I know what he's
say
talking
he
about.
doesn't have a fence, and there's also there's also another one that has the wrought iron style fence. Now he doesn't have a shed in his yard, but if he put a shed in his yard, you'd be able to see both of those from Venezia. So we need to plug that hole because otherwise, you'll have people are saying, well, I've got to have a fence to shield it from the front yard, but you can see these ones from the rear.
Yeah, because of the way the backyard is set on the retention pond and
Correct.
there, right?
If I may make a suggestion to the language you're considering, sometimes we see where you say if new shed will be visible from the right of way or a public tract, something that is different than just another rear yard. You could put that language in here to say, in that situation, you would
Yeah,
also
if you
have to
put it visible from the right of way, that would definitely catch both of those.
Yeah, it would.
And then they would have to put either a rear fence up that's the plastic one, or they would have to put something around the shed itself. So on the basis of that, if you're okay with that, David, because you made the motion, can you?
Yeah, he seconded it.
Oh, can you restate the motion with that additional language in it?
Yes. So I make a motion for the ordinance 2026-002 shed location in regard to placement of storage sheds, that it needs to be either behind the house or if it can be seen from the front of the home, it needs to have a fence in the front, as well as if it can be seen from any right of way to have a fence as well.
Can you fix that language so that that comes out?
That's it.
But bearing in mind, Renee, this does not prevent people from putting sheds in the side yard. I just want to make that because you mentioned it twice.
Correct, but if it's in the side yard and can be seen, then a fence would need to be there, correct?
Yes, it does. And
Correct.
that's part of this. I just didn't want that motion to be put out there with reference to not being in the side yard,
Sure.
and we agree on that. So,
Sure.
okay, David, would you like to second that?
I can't second it with that change.
Second.
Can we have a roll call vote, please, John?
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Yes,
Councilor Arnold,
Yes.
Counselor Lanneman,
Yes.
Counselor Miles,
No.
Mayor Wells,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 4, consideration and approval. Again, second reading of ordinance.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. The reason I voted no on that one was because of the change that was made here. I was fine with the resolution prior to making that change. And the reason is pertaining to the lot I live on, there is no fence. I have a shed that was pre-existing that you can see a little bit if you can peek through the vegetation.
I should
That
mention
it's
it,
in
David.
it's in the backyard, but it extends off to the side. It would fit fine under that resolution, but the way it was originally written, am I going to be required then to put a 12-foot fence to nowhere so that you can't see it? And you can go over to the other street, since I live at a corner, and you could see the whole darn thing.
I assume that
Because-
anything that's existing would be grandfathered in.
Unless you put specific language in an ordinance, it applies to the future. It doesn't apply retroactively.
Yeah, I was grandfathered in
Right.
when my house was built 4 years ago, but I had to go through excessive harassment from the bureaucracy here
Right.
over 1.5 feet worth of building on this little bitty shed that extended beyond the vision of the front yard, if you could see through the vegetation,
Gotcha.
which blocked the view.
I'm sure it was only moderate harassment, Counselor Miles.
No, it was significant harassment.
Just as a question, do people?
That's the reason I voted no. If you'd left the darn thing alone, I would have voted yes.
I'm sorry, David. That's my fault. I was the one that brought it up, not.
I apologize, Mayor. Could you say that again?
I was going to ask her
okay.
because I couldn't hear her either.
Is there a requirement for a permit to put a regular shed up?
It is. There's some new legislation about permit fees or the cost of it. Some things are exempt, so I'm not fully up to speed on that, but it does usually require a permit for any.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if anybody was to put a shed up in the dark of night, we can come after them.
We will find them.
We will find them and we will kill them.
And harass
All
them.
right. Moving on. Consideration approval of ordinance 2026-003 fencing. An ordinance of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida, pertaining to the use of land, providing findings, amending section 5.01.07 brackets D, brackets F, brackets H of the town's land development code relating to chain link fences in the residential zoning districts, providing for codification, severability, and an effective date.
Yes, Mayor, I'll give you the 10,000-foot level on this one as well. It has already had a first reading and discussed by council. So we've gone back in and made changes to reflect what you requested at that meeting. Specifically, it recognizes that chain link fences are not permitted in residential zoning districts, that those that already exist are grandfathered in and can remain, but if they're to be replaced, they would have to meet the requirements to not be chain link fencing. Further with that, let's see what we did here. Maybe that's it in a nutshell. If you do have a zoning district, there are some zoning districts that allow chain link fencing. Those are non-residential or large residential, such as agricultural rural estates. Within those zoning districts, if you do have the allowed chain link fencing, it must be coated in black or dark green vinyl or plastic. So we also made that change based on council's direction. with that, staff recommends approval, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Can I bring up a point before you take it to the public?
Sure. Be quick though.
Paragraph D, the first sentence is fences in residential areas shall be made of wood, PVC, vinyl, decorative aluminum, or wrought iron, and black or dark green coated chain link fencing. That's the first sentence in that paragraph. The last sentence in the paragraph, and I'll just read the last clause. Shall be brought in compliance with this subsection and shall not utilize chain link fencing. So in one place it says, as long as it's vinyl coated, you can have a chain link fence in residential zones. And another place it says, yeah, you shall not. Which way are we
Yeah,
going?
but it is explained later on that non-residential zones, rural and so forth, can have chain link. Because I thought the same thing.
I realized that.
Yeah.
What we decided was chain link fence. Some are grandfathered in because they exist,
Right.
but we were not going to allow them in residential areas. We were only going to allow them in commercial areas. And if they were in the commercial area, they had to have black or green vinyl or plastic coating. So we need to make that consistent. We need to take the first sentence and put a period after the words wrought iron and delete the rest of that sentence.
Thank you.
And that would make it consistent with the end of that paragraph and also
Correct.
section H.
You have that, April?
I do. The one thing I would note too, though, rural estates is a residential zoning district, and this still permits it in rural estates. So would you also want to strike that from?
Would you repeat that?
That's okay. So in H, it says chain link fencing is prohibited in residential zoning districts, in non-residential zoning districts, including agricultural, rural estates, and then it lists other non-residential. I just want to make sure that you would determine that rural estates is non-residential.
If you make the change I suggested to the first sentence, paragraph H and paragraph D will be consistent with each other.
Okay, thank you.
When I read this thing through, I said, here it says we can do it, here it says we
You
can't.
you'd still have to take out rural estates, so April,
Yeah.
and
Okay. so
And
we can
eight.
Strike that.
Yeah, I
too.
believe so, because we
Yeah.
do have rural estates down on Revels Road
Thank
and they
you.
are just normal houses. I thought we fixed all this at the after the first reading though.
Yeah, you're saying rural estates is a residential
Yeah.
zoning district.
Yes.
We
Okay.
did talk about it, no residential area, period.
Right. Okay, let me open it up for public comment. Anybody online? Seeing none. I have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-003 with the amendments brought up by Councillor Miles.
Motion to approve ordinance 2026-003 as amended.
Can we be more specific to remove the last part of the first sentence in paragraph D and to remove the words rural estates from paragraph H?
So why don't
Those
you
are the
make-
amendments,
Why don't you
and I'll
make that
second it.
motion?
No, I
You good with
agree.
that?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, Absolutely.
All right, any other council comment? If not, then I'll take a roll call vote, please. John?
Counselor Miles,
Yes.
Counselor Laneman,
Yes.
Counselor Howey, Counselor Logue, Counselor Logue, Counselor Laneman, Counselor Miles, Counselor Laneman, Counselor Howey, Counselor Logue, 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 Counselor Laneman, Counselor Howey, Counselor Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Yes.
Councilor Arnold,
Yes.
Councilor Lanneman,
Yes.
Mayor Wells,
Yes.
motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 5, the last item on public hearing, consideration and approval. Second reading, ordinance 2026-004, commercial design standards. An ordinance of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida pertaining to the use of land, providing findings, amending section 4.06.05 of the town's land development code relating to referred standard of design for non-residential structures, providing for codification, severability, and effective date.
Yes, sir. This was also heard on first reading and discussed, and based on council's direction, we went back and we made the language to be should and recommended, but not required. So it's the same as before with the types of design styles and standards. However, they are more of a guideline because they're recommended but not required.
They're preferred.
Yes, sir.
Any public comment on this item?
Marie Galelli, 1104 North Tangerine. I don't know why it should be should, but preferred, but not required. My thought is on the 7-Eleven, if that goes ahead, that should have an architectural look. Winter Park forced the 7-Eleven to have an architectural look that matched their town. Why can't we be the same? I'm not comparing us to Winter Park by any means, but why can't we be a little more forceful in that the architecture should look like we have been talking about this town for over 100 years? I don't understand why you want to say something that we would like it that way, but we're not going to make you do it because it works in other towns. Anyway,
Thank you. Yeah, this was all discussed with and I think that it was fair to say the motion to have it as mandatory was going to fail. So we changed it. We put it into preferred because also Publix, I believe, did it because they would do, and also the storage unit were going to do the same thing. So if you talk to people nicely, you can usually get them to do what you want them to do. At least I found so.
could you talk to all of them nicely?
Publix just changed some colors. They really didn't change their design.
Okay. Storage place, 7-Eleven, you think they're,
Well, the storage place have already done
Agreed
that.
from the beginning.
They've agreed from the beginning.
Okay.
So
all right,
thank you.
you don't have to answer me on the 7-Eleven.
Alan Hayes, 111 Island Drive. I think by changing those two little words in there, I think you basically neutered the bill. Because now it opens it up for negotiation. So they can throw you a bone in some other direction and not comply with what the majority of the people wanted. So I think by acquiescing and changing that terminology, I think you might as well throw it out because you ruined what we had tried to get them to do.
Any other public comment? Anybody online? So can I have a motion from council to approve ordinance 2026-004 commercial design standards?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-004 for the design standard as stated.
Second.
Any other council discussion? We have a roll call vote then, John, please.
Councilor Arnold,
Yes.
Councilor Miles,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
No.
Councilor Lanneman,
Yes.
Mayor Wells.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. We'll move on to old business item 6, consideration and approval, First Amendment to the interlocal agreement between Lake County, Florida and the town of Howey-in-the-Hills relating to the use of library impact fees for fiscal year 2026 and 2027.
Okay, so this is being brought back to council. This is old business in relation to the $200,000 impact fee amount awarded for design and $500,000 for construction. Amanda and I did talk to county library administration and asked about the either or expansion or construction of new, design and construction of new. And they said it would necessitate starting over from scratch and that we would have to go back next March 1 to ask for dollar number one for design starting in FY 27 or calendar year 27. I guess you could look at it that way. So the option basically is to accept the agreement as presented or to direct staff to reject the agreement and wait until next year, March 1st, to submit for a different design proposal.
John, can I ask you a few questions about this?
You absolutely may.
How many years do we have left before we will have 100% recovery of the money that was provided for the last expansion?
So the last expansion, it was finalized. We had the grand opening 5.5 years ago, let's say. So we have about 4.5 years left before money would have to be returned on a prorated basis if we were to stop using it as a library before the 10th anniversary of that.
So in order for us to be able to use that current building for any other purpose, we have 4.5 more years before we could do that.
Well, without reimbursing the county, yes.
Without reimbursing the county to get it free and clear, and then we could put whatever we want in that building.
Correct. And the reimbursement amount would be a prorated.
How long do you expect it to take to design and construct the facility that's in this grant?
Honestly, based on the previous work done on that, well, it was tough because that was very protracted. That was very drawn out. I would say 3.5 years would be a very tight timeline.
Okay, so it would take 3, maybe 4 years to do it, which would then kind of be in sync. But then at that point, that would start a new 10-year period, correct?
For whatever the other
For
amount of money.
For the 700,000 we're
Correct.
talking about
Correct.
in this agenda item. In the next 10 years, the population of Howey will probably double or triple. After I talked to you earlier today, I did go through Hillside Groves and saw that they have, in fact, 7 houses that drew their permits last month that are in various stages of construction. And so they're getting ready to go. And so we're going to see a lot of houses go in there. How long do you think it's going to be before we double the amount of patronage in the library?
Well, currently, I mean, if we have 2,000 residents in town that utilize the library, you're asking how long it would be before the next 2,000 residents come along?
You see, I would prefer that this block be developed as a recreational parcel, a town square, and adding additional space to that building when we've been talking about we need additional municipal facilities at perhaps another location, that we could wait a year or two to get the 700,000 before, without slowing down the need. And for that reason, I'm opposed to getting this $700,000 and putting it out now. I think we should direct the library director to go in to next year's process and ask for 200,000 in design money, which I think is the cap that the county has.
No, it's a $500,000 ask per year for any
Okay, so
project.
I asked for $500,000 to design a brand new library facility at a location to be determined in the future, so that we would have, this building is too small for the library we're going to need in the future. And rather than jiggle it around with an addition here and an addition here, I think it would be much more wise use of the taxpayers' dollars, whether they be county dollars or town dollars, if we built a new facility in the municipal complex that we've been talking about having. So based on that, that's how I'm going to vote. Thank you.
It was my understanding, I thought everybody had agreed that we're going to need a town complex. And last time we discussed this, and Sean, you did bring it up, I thought the decision was that Sean would go back and Amanda go back to the County Library Advisory Board to see if we could use this toward a complex. And when they said no, to me, that took care of it right there. I don't even know why it was brought up again myself.
You want to address that, Sean?
So I'm a little confused. They said it.
The way it was decided, if it would have gone that night, it would have gone down to defeat. And Counselor Miles said, well, if you can go and we can use that money towards a complex, then we would rediscuss it. But they clearly said no, so I don't even know why we're discussing it again, is my point.
Well, if we go to the well at this point for a total of 700,000, it's very unlikely that the county library board would allow us 2 years later to build another better, bigger facility. So I think there's a very good chance that if we turn this down now, that a year or two from now, we could go in with a new request for a new library. I don't know that we would have to, on that request, designate the exact location, although I have discussed in the past with you my preferred location, which is a nice open area that we have in the southern part of the city. But the idea of having a municipal complex and a much larger library appeals to me more than patchworking the existing facility. And the existing facility as it stands now looks like it could be a community center. And this building and the building next to it over here and bulldozers are what I have in mind for them. So, because I don't think they're of any great historical import and they're very expensive to maintain. And let's turn this area into a beautiful recreational area, use the library as a community center, and build a brand new library in the new municipal complex.
Okay, well, we discussed all of that the last time around. Multiple times. If Amendment 3 passes, all bets are off anyway, because there won't be any money to do anything. But what I think we should do, unless there's any other council comment, because this is a consideration approval item, if there's any other council comment before I open it up to public, Anybody from the public like to opine on this item only?
Tom Palou, 1005 North Tangerine Avenue. I don't always agree with Mr. Miles. I respect him, but tonight he is spot on. I think it's a shame to take money and not really use it intelligently. Eventually, this is going to get bulldozed. The library building is in pretty good shape, but to expand that now and use that kind of money, I think is ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Any other public comment? Then I'll close public comment, bring it back to council. Do I have a motion from anybody to approve this First Amendment of the interlocal agreement between Lake County, Florida and the town of Howey-in-the-Hills?
I would like to make a motion to deny.
Well, I've asked for a motion to approve, so if you could
And I
just.
would like to make a motion to deny.
Well, I'm the presiding officer, so I'll wait to see if I get a motion to approve, because if I don't get a motion to approve, then it's denied anyway.
Right.
So if you just let me do my job, I'd be real happy. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve? If I do not, then this item fails through lack of a motion. Thank you. Let's move on to new business consideration and approval of the interlocal service boundary agreement, ISBA distributed wastewater treatment system. If I could just ask the audience, although you can't hear us when we have microphones, I can hear everything that you are saying, even when you're whispering. Sir, I'm sorry, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll do
open this
just a
up?
brief introduction. So obviously wastewater is a topic of discussion. We still have our Woodard and Curran feasibility studies going on. We're having our ongoing discussions regarding the downtown sewer corridor project. But one of the ongoing discussions we've had for several years is the distributed wastewater treatment system, DWTS, of which Onsite is probably the most popular provider in the region. And there's really 2 points to tonight. One is pursuing grant funding, which would be with the assistance of Onsite and Woodard and Curran, but pursuing grant funding this month is the submission period to find funding that would assist with DWTS where it's appropriate, and also hopefully to mitigate construction related costs for people who live along the downtown sewer corridor as well, which was certainly a point of consideration for people who are affected by that project. So one is looking for consent to move forward with grant applications, which Rob will be helping us with. And the secondary element is basically looking at a blanket DEP permit covering our whole ISBA that would allow for the town to manage a distributed wastewater treatment system utility through the incorporated and unincorporated area around Howey-in-the-Hills. The idea, which I know Rob will talk about a little bit, this would be a hybrid approach. So obviously there would not be an implementation of this, where we have the downtown wastewater corridor. But certainly in the unincorporated areas like Cedar Creek, where they're already being required by the county to use on-site, it makes sense to do a blanket permit and bring them in under a town utility system. But at that point, I will turn it over to Rob.
John, are you gonna, if I point to you to get a click?
Sure.
Okay, just checking. Well,
Can you just introduce yourself and give us your address for the record, please?
yes, Rob Nicholas. I live in Brooksville, Florida. I work for Onsite Performance, and we are a company that works with communities on, I think, what we would call sewering beyond the lines from that standpoint. Distributed sewer is in a practical, timely, and cost-effective option for the town for areas that are outside your primary sewer area. Think three things. It's practical. Distributed wastewater can juggle whether it's a homeowner in need, a commercial need, or a developer request. So it's very flexible. It's flexible not only in meeting those needs, but in fitting in with your existing sewer system. It's quick. You can do these projects. You can start within months, not years. It's very, very fast. And normally we do it as a voluntary participation. So somebody has to ask to participate and get one. And the object is to develop it so that there is no town debt involved. Normally these are a self-funded type of process. Next, John. As I said, on-site, we're a technology company. We have developed technology that treats wastewater to reduce groundwater pollution. We provide our services to communities in a turnkey fashion. We can permit it, engineer it, manufacture it, install it, and operate it. So that way it becomes easy for a community to get sewer out there without having to deal with all those issues. Next. Somebody asked what distributed sewer is. Distributed sewer is a approach to wastewater that Florida DEP created. It is between having a central wastewater plant and having septic tanks. The object was to have technology that could be placed out beyond the lines of sewer systems, but would still have oversight, maintenance, and management to assure that they're going to function properly. The whole key here for the state is to try to get ways to replace older septic tanks with some sort of technology that can remove nitrogen, phosphorus, and improve the water quality. These are would be town-owned and managed. Can't have an individual one. These have to be owned in a cluster by either a community or an HOA. It has to meet municipal treatment standards. This is a higher level than what a septic tank would provide. So it's cleaner water. It has to remove 80% of the nitrogen in the water. They are wirelessly monitored. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you know exactly what's going on out in somebody's yard. So we know if a pump goes down, we know if there's a high level alarm, we know if there's a low level alarm. It is designed to be flush and forget for the homeowner. It's just like sewer. Somebody's going to respond to if there's a problem. Somebody else is going to come from the town, make sure that that problem gets taken care of. So it's easy for somebody to handle. Last but not least, it is state tested, inspected, and reported on. So every month you send in a state report, lab test, just like this was a regular wastewater plant that you provide to now. It's a progressive, hit it again. Okay, one of the things that we talk about is it's a hybrid. So on the right, you have, let's think of your current sewer system. You have houses and businesses connected to a sewer line that goes to a central sewer plant. In this case, they're all physically connected. The way they're connected in distributed wastewater is by cell phone. So all of this is wireless. So we watch the plants from a distance, but each individual home or a cluster of homes would have an individual unit that we're monitoring 24 hours a day, just like you were at the wastewater plant. Same difference.
Is that what they call grinder units?
Nope. Right here's what this is. This is actually a mini wastewater plant in your yard. It's the same size as a septic tank. So it's probably two of these desks put together. Inside of it, there's 3 chambers. The first chamber is a trash tank, something that floats to the top like grease floats. Things that settle to the bottom settle. The water in the middle goes to a center basin that's equalization. The last one is the wastewater plant. It uses a very common treatment technology called sequencing batch reactor. It all happens in one particular tank, and it's mixing, aeration, settling, discharge. All that discharge then goes out into a drain field that's on the outside of the house. It is connected to the home electric. There is a communications box on the side of the house. That's so that the cell phones read in and out and tell us what's going on.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
How does it get rid of the solids? I didn't quite hear what you said there.
On a periodic basis, we will pump out the tank. But unlike a septic tank, everything's dead and settles down. This is live. This has bugs in it, and the bugs are eating up the sewage. So you generate a lot less sludge. So you might pump out a couple hundred gallons every 5 years. versus you have to pump 1,000 gallons to clean a tank. And that's
Okay.
part of the biological treatment process.
Okay, so you would do it in a fashion similar to a septic tank being pumped out. You would have a sewer truck come
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
the location, hook up a hose and pump.
But you want to think
Content.
we might be taking out 100 gallons at a time. So they're going to be there a few minutes and we would only do it, like I said, it might be 5 years before you even do that.
I do have a question from a technology point of view.
Yeah.
In the event, if there is an outage with the mobile service or a down for wireless, how would you read the information from the home?
It's going to store it in the box. When it comes back on, we'll get the information back.
So does it have a generator system?
Nope. Has a battery pack in the controller.
Do the battery have to be changed over a period of time?
No, it's a self-charging in the box.
Like a lithium type situation?
I don't know battery technology, but it is just a simple battery that would cover it for a time period of down. Same thing in a hurricane. The way it happens, we literally can watch the telemetry and see the storm come right across Florida and the units go boop, 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 and go down. The way the units work is they settle down, the water goes off the top, all the solids are captured in the bottom. Once we lose communication, it's going to sit there till it gets power back. When it gets power back, we'll take the data that we got, it'll upload that to us, and then we'll restart the unit and go.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
If the comms fail, but the electricity is still there, does it keep working?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can run in and as soon as the comms go down, it calls us. And so we send an operator out to look at it.
I got a couple questions because I've been interested because I think this could solve a lot of our town's issues. How many years have you been?
We've been in business for 10 years.
So 10 years. And how many problems have you had? And what were they?
Driving over the lid with a lawnmower has been a recent. Other than that, not much. You lose a pump, you lose a blower. Those happen periodically.
But you get notification right away and can go.
It calls us.
The only reason I mention this, because I really like this idea. And in fact, I've talked with Mr. Brock about this. I have a neighbor who right next door who says, I saw that and I just don't. I said to him, these have been around for a while and the states approved them. He thinks there's too many units and not just, a sewer facility. What can I tell him to convince him?
Two things. How much of his streets do you want ripped up?
I've already discussed that.
That is one.
Yep.
The second one is resiliency. A big plant goes down, you spill 100, 200,000 gallons.
Yep.
This goes down, you spill 100 gallons. So from that standpoint, the other issue is just resiliency. There's a number of them. So if one goes down, it's not a problem. You can go deal with it. Worst case scenario here is something massively fails. You run out with a pump truck and just clean it out.
Now you have put these, because I know when it was originally approved by the state, a lot of them were for coastal areas, weren't they?
Actually, most of them have been used in highly sensitive areas.
That's what.
So they are designed to go near springs. They are designed to go in wetland areas where you have sensitive water bodies. So we have these around springs like Wakiva, over in Apopka. They are put in there to help protect that spring and reduce water quality. Up in Trenton, we've got a unit in there. It was put in specifically because their existing system had failed. That spring was being polluted. These units cleaned up that spring. And they have been tested routinely by different people. And that is one of the differences here. These are tested on a regular basis and we report to the state. So somebody else is monitoring the water quality coming out of your house.
Is there a smell problem with these things?
No.
Okay. What is the difference between one of these units and a septic tank, number one? And what is the difference between one of these units and a package plant?
Okay, this and a septic tank. A septic tank takes about 30% of the nitrogen off. That's one of the number one problems in water quality.
Takes 30% versus 80%.
Versus 80%. Actually, in Lake County, our units are running about 90% removal. The difference between a package plant is package plants are generally bigger. So, when I think about package plants, you would be thinking, well, that's going to be a 50,000 or 100,000 gallon plant. So they're just bigger, is all. And you would be treating a cluster of homes and you would have sewer line.
Yeah, they're sort of like major wastewater treatment plants, except on a smaller scale. And these are sort of like septic tanks, except for they're more efficient.
No, these are not a septic tank. This is a baby wastewater plant in your yards.
It's got a drain. It looks like
all that does is
it
allow.
Looks like a duck and walks like a duck.
Well, let me explain. That's a package plant for what you're thinking is. When it discharges, the drain field is just to get rid of water. There's no treatment. In a septic system, the drain field's part of the treatment. So this is cleaning the water to a point when it's discharged, it's good to go and it can go out. Under the rules for this, you can have a much smaller drain field and it can be very close to the water level compared to a regular septic tank. And it's because you're actually treating the wastewater there and making sure that it's clean and you're monitoring and testing that it's
The
clean.
reason I asked that question is we've been discussing this particular area for years. I've been on the council for 4 years. We were talking about it 4 years ago. We're talking about it now. One of the things we decided about 3 years ago is we weren't going to have a bunch of small package plants all over the town. And I'm somewhat concerned. These look awfully much like automated septic tanks. Could you use, if we put a sewer system in, the state's going to mandate that we collapse and destroy the septic tanks and fill them in.
When we put these in,
same thing true here?
Yep.
Could one of these be converted from a septic tank to this?
Oh, absolutely not.
No. And the reason is?
You're talking apples and watermelon. That's how different septic tanks are to what this is.
But would you be able to remove the septic tank with this?
That's exactly what we do. We pump it out, pull it out, dispose of it. If possible, you put it right back. This goes in the hole. And then you look at the drain field. And if it needs a new drain field, then you put in what we got.
What's the difference? You had a picture there of a concrete structure, which is one of these being put in place. The difference between it and a septic tank, from what I could see, was it had two separating walls where the septic tank that divided it into 3 compartments.
And there's a hopper in the back end too.
Okay, and so why couldn't a septic tank have two walls placed in it and converted it into one of these?
That is an engineered device you've got to biologically remove the nutrients out of it. So you have to size this thing and have the flow, and there's return. Some of this wastewater gets returned back to the front so that it can do the treatment that it's required to do. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in the middle of that.
Yeah.
You're not going to get in a septic tank. You've got to have something
I'm just
designed for
talking
that.
about the structure as opposed to the contents in it.
The way the structures are set up is you've got to have walls that are permanently mounted that don't leak. Again, the back has to have a hopper because you want to collect the solids in the bottoms. So it's a fairly engineered product that you've got to have size wise to do this.
Rob,
Is it about the same size as a septic tank?
It's just slightly bigger.
It's slightly bigger? Okay.
Do you want to finish your presentation and then we may have some questions?
Go to the next one, John. One of the things it does is it's smart. So this is what we call smart sewer. It monitors 24 hours a day. You get a signal every 15 minutes. We can pull up and look at every individual plant out there. We can tell how much water's in it. We can tell how much water's going through. We can tell where it's at in the treatment process and how it's functioning. All that allows us to monitor what's going on. If something stops working, blower, pumps, it alarms us. The operators can look at it and then go deal with it. So we know in advance. It is smart enough that it tells us if it doesn't have flow for 2 days, we call the homeowner. We want to make sure there's not a break or anything. Or if they've left town, gone north as a snowbird, then we basically put the bugs to sleep and let it sit.
Do you have like a little operations center that's staffed with people to monitor the communications?
It'll call you in the middle of the night.
It's you, one each?
Oh, no. There's multiple operators and maintenance guys. There's engineers that monitor.
Yeah,
it.
but do you have like a center? You have a center of operations?
We have an office in Lake Mary, and then we have roving operators. And the operators drive between all the units. So we've got 150 or more units spread around Lake County. When they go off in the morning, they monitor what's going on and go do the cycle.
I would presume there's economies of scale based on size. So the more of these that you have, the more efficient this operation center would be.
Absolutely. So like in Lake County, we could have a call and one at the far north in Lady Lake's not working and one down below Claremont that's working. It takes a long time. In Apopka, they're all in one neighborhood. There's 100 of them there. It's easy to do things in Apopka because you're right there. Like I said, we've got units in Lake County. They're on their second grants, just starting so they can put more units in. Apopka, we're finishing up the grant there to do installation. Again, Lake County is scattered. Anybody in the county can fit. In Apopka, it's all in one neighborhood around the spring. And then we're doing subdivisions like Lake Nelly down below.
You're locating these things on people's private property, is that correct?
That's correct.
But the apparatus would belong to the town.
That's right.
Okay. As a result of that, there's a grant program that FDEP has for this. Is that also correct?
Yep.
So could that grant program be used for the demolition of the septic tank and the installation of the new tanks? And for example, we've got a couple areas that have sewer, such as along the alley behind Central Avenue here. Could the people that are there have the construction paid for through the grant?
They've asked that question already. Yes, to all those. Lake County has a grant for exactly that. If you have an existing septic tank and you're in the unincorporated area of the county, they have a grant that pays for removing the old tank, putting in the new one, hooking it up.
What I'm trying to make clear is, so it could be used either for for anybody that's getting rid of their septic tank and getting either this system or sanitary sewer.
You could
do both of them?
Yeah, we talked about
The
them.
back is shaking his head. Does he belong to you?
If he's in the green shirt, he is. He is.
He was shaking his head no.
Oh, no, it does. We've already checked with DEP. Hooking up the existing customers on the sewer line could be done also.
You're aware that we have a very small area right now that we're trying to hook up, and we're looking for reasons or ways to fund the decommissioning of the septic tanks and the construction of the new system. And we can, in this case, it only involves 29 properties, something like that.
Yeah.
That they could hook into a force main that we already have built.
Yep. We talked about that. There are programs that.
So you're going to have a hybrid system where you're operating this in certain places and have a traditional sewer system where the density allows you to do and where it makes sense to do.
So are we allowing questions or not? You told me to stop my question and he's been going on for 15 minutes.
I've been going on for 2 minutes.
Yeah. No, afraid not, Dave.
I'll finish. If John, you'll change over to the ones and I'll roll through.
That, and then we'll see if there are any.
Let's talk about the ability to juggle. Go to the next slide. Basically, when we sat down I know that the town has some needs that are outside the existing sewers and beyond the current plant capacity. So, we look, I know Cedar Creek's up there. I know that there's the townhomes up here on the hill. They've got a sewer problem right now with one of their systems. I know there's Thompson's Grove. you've got a couple areas that we would call septic to sewer that they're on septic now. And either you're going to extend sewer to them, or you might be able to do this program for that. And then there's Whispering Heights down at the bottom. So you've got multiple projects out there that I think would work. Next one, John. 3 different things. So the one on the left is in Apopka. It is replacing the existing septic system and field at a house. So the 3 green bubbles on the left are actually the treatment unit. It went right where their old septic tank was. And then that white area is the new drain field. Because the water is so clean coming out, you can have an extremely small drain field. The drain fields for these are probably about 5 feet by 8 feet in size. So smaller than what your table area is here. And because they're so clean, it allows you to fit them into most house sites without working around trees and bushes and everything else. The one in the middle is actually a new subdivision. The developer there wanted them up closer to the house so they could hide them in the shrubbery. We did that. And the one on the right is actually a commercial unit. It's a 20,000 gallon unit. It services an RV park, a county park, and some small businesses in that area from that standpoint. And this kind of gives you an idea of how an existing tank is replaced. On the left, they've pulled out the existing septic tank. That's the new unit going in. The one in the middle, they're taking out and putting in a new drain field. Hit it again, John. It'll move over to the next. One more. And then a week later, we go back in and sod the lawn, and that's what the lawn looks like after we pour it all up from that standpoint. The program, such as in Lake County and in Apopka, it's designed to replace it, and then we put the sod back the way it is before the house. Normally installation is about 1 day. They're without sewer for 2 to 3 hours. And a week later, we're able to go back in and do the lawn. Can I give an idea? Next. These can be used for a single home or a cluster. So on the left is one of your developer's plan layout. We can put the unit and the drain field up in the shrubbery and hide it in the front yard. And that's an extremely small front yard. It's a 25-foot from the sidewalk into the house, and it will fit in there due to its size. On the right is actually a cluster of 5 townhouses, and you can put a unit in that would serve 5 townhouses and fit it into a really tight space that can be done. So
and Rob, just to be clear, those are like the one on the right, that's taken from the Santa Cruz area?
Yes, it is. That's actually the one they're having problems with right now. So it will fit in there, and it can serve all 5 homes and provide the area. And it is about the tightest site I've been on. It's really in there. Next one. All right, talk about speed of the process. So go on to the next slide. Just quickly walk you through how one of these works. You decide you want to expand your sewer using DWTS. You would hire an experienced DWTS contractor like us. We would file a permit for the FDP so that you could provide it in the city. Basically, there's a series of setup forms because you want to have a sewer service agreement. You need an easement across the property. You then recruit participants. Now, that could be homeowners, that could be developers, that could be commercial establishments. You would want to make your own rules about how far off the current sewer line and so forth you want to do. Again, this is to service areas beyond the sewer because if you can hook them up, you want to hook them up. We take applications and review. Just like you would do it if somebody wants water service, they're going to make an application to you all. You're going to review their plans. The same thing would happen here. Once an application has been reviewed and approved, then we would install the unit per the town specs. Again, just like your water system, you're going to say, this is the parts I want to use. This is the design standard we're going to use. There would be inspection at the final installation. Once it's installed, then the operation and maintenance begins. And then you begin at the same time, regular reporting to FDP.
Costs, how much for a single family house roughly to install one system?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question too, but I was told to stop.
I'll move right along and you can get to questions. How's that sound? When you do the administration of this project, there's paperwork. We have a program management that will manage all the paperwork you need. Go on to the next, John. Let's talk about voluntary participation and no debt. First of all, everybody has to raise their hand and volunteer to do this program. That's how we've done the ones in all the other communities. You're not forcing anybody to participate. If you put in a sewer line, you tend to need everybody to hook up so you can financially afford the line. You don't have to do that here. It's fast in and out, as we talked about. You got a couple of days where they're in here doing it. There's no road damage. In this case, the homeowner, developer, or commercial entity pays for the installation. If you can supplement that with grants, great, that'll work fine. There's a monthly fee that covers the city operations and maintenance cost from that standpoint. Next
My
slide.
question was, how much are those?
Just keep going.
Keep going.
We'll get to it.
All right, last but not least is the application process. This is if there's an applicant, the town and onsite, the applicant files one, the town reviews and approves. Onsite would provide the designs. The city approves the design. There's a contract written. From that standpoint, we do the installation. A professional engineer has to stamp and approve every installation here. So they're going to have to look at this. Once that's done, then you can start operations. And at that point, onsite would begin providing the reporting and so forth. I think you can go to the end, John, and we're done. There we go. There. Okay.
Now you're going to answer my price tag
Sure.
question? Thank you.
The monthly fee for the county is, I'm just going to use an example because I don't know what your fee is going to be. The county charges $70 a month. That includes our fee, and that includes all the maintenance of the unit, and all the operation and maintenance and so forth. But they pay for testing and they pay for administration and management. So they have a
And
billing
you
fee.
said $70 a month?
$70 a month is what they pay. And that is right in the average sewer rate for every city in the county. They actually modeled their rates after what all the other communities were
What
charging.
times now? 55,
Ours is
50.
48.
52?
52.
And I know when I spoke with Jeff Littlejohn, this is a year and a half ago, it was 50 at that time.
Yeah, it's 50 now, but the county adds $20 on top of that for their service
He
fees.
didn't tell me, he didn't tell me that.
That's our everyone.
Yeah.
Similar to how we have a service fee for the town sewer.
Right.
So it's
CDD has a portion and we.
because there's a. On
No,
top of the
I
52,
know that
the
we
town
pay
has
some
a
of it.
portion. It's the same thing.
What I'm trying to do was compare to what somebody on sewer is gonna pay versus this.
It'll be roughly the same.
It would be roughly the same.
Well, not if
Not if
not
one's
that it's
52 and
52
one's
the other
7.
one's 70.
Except for yours isn't 52. 'Cause
Oh,
the
that's
town
what-
has its.
And
formula on top.
the installation.
No, that's
cost-
both.
52 is both.
Oh,
That's
that's
both.
Single
That's
family
both.
house.
It's going to range from 20 to 30 plus. All the installation depends on what kind of yard you got, how easy is it to get to, and what the terrain looks like. So for
Okay.
example, I can tell you exactly what we're doing in Lake County. If you're by a lake and we've got to pump from the backyard up into the front yard to make it work, it's going to cost more.
Yeah.
If you're up on the ridge, it's going to cost a lot less because we don't do it. So a lot of that price is based on the access to the yard and how we do it. But you can think 22 to.
Now,
I
what,
just wanted to.
20 to 30?
The numbers you mentioned were
that's what I
30?
just said.
20 to 30,000, is that
Mhm.
correct?
For one
Okay.
house?
For one house?
Yeah, now what about grants? I know that before, when you guys came and presented to the town, at that time, it was gonna be covered.
Let me ask you here. Installing this, the way you look at it is, what is your cost per pound of nitrogen removed? So for example, the mayor of Apopka is really clear. He said, I have to install sewer lines and lift stations, and it's going to be $100,000 a house. He said, you guys are going to come in and do it for 20 plus. I just saved $80,000. You calculated on how many pounds of nitrogen are going to get removed and what's the cost to put in the infrastructure is. That's how we.
So just on the pricing, and sorry, I don't want to interrupt you
No.
again, Tim, but where you had the little cluster of 5 homes and you had one plant, what's the cost roughly of that?
That would be different. We have to price those separately.
Just off the top of your head, roughly. 100 grand?
Oh, no. No.
Less?
Yeah.
Okay, it's running 5 homes. That's the
Yeah,
reason.
you're just running bigger tanks.
So
There is a main for sanitary sewer within 100 feet of that system there. Would this be cost competitive versus having to put a lift station? And it's uphill, so you would have to put a lift station in if you did traditional.
Well, we're getting into the weeds here a bit, David. Let me just give Tim an opportunity to ask his questions because you may get some answers from that.
with your grants, I'm trying to figure out, because we should be able to get some grants for these, right? Plus, you say the Lake County will pay for the cost of dismantling the septic system.
Right, but that's,
That's separate than your 20 to 30,000.
well, they only pay for the replacement of systems outside in unincorporated Lake County. Won't
okay.
come in the city.
Okay, so the 20 to 30,000 includes the dismantling of your.
Oh, yeah, that's everything.
Okay.
That's pumping
And what do you think the likelihood of grants would be?
I'm gonna send John and Sean a funding analysis that we've got run right now by our former DEP executive. That'll give you like 4 or 5 different options that there are potential money for.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get at is people would like it or not. I mean,
The way it works in the county right now, they pay 100% of the replacement of the system. So there's no cost to somebody in the county who participates in the program. They replace the whole system and go.
Did any of your staff work on the Key Largo system that was done in the early 2000s? It was the first major system in Florida.
I know.
Are you familiar with that?
The Monroe County systems, yes.
Yes, the Monroe County systems.
That's totally different what we're doing here.
They used a different technology than this?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So can I just bring it back to the consideration and approval of this thing? What are we actually looking to approve here?
So we're really looking at, we can think of it as 2 aspects. One is to pursue grant funding, which needs to be submitted this month. And we are going to draft that broad enough to also include the opportunity for funding for construction costs for the downtown wastewater corridor, the actual sewer system, as well as the distributed wastewater treatment system, and to find whatever funding we can for both of those projects. That's one aspect. The other aspect is it's going to take a lot more research and legal research at that to look at getting a DEP permit that is ISBA wide to the point where if there's someone in the unincorporated area around Howey-in-the-Hills that will never, frankly, ever be on our sewer system, that we are in a position to make them utility customers, have them do the DWTS. And we already have a head start in a certain sense with Cedar Creek, which is 105 homes or so, which has already been county approved to be on the DWTS system because town sewer was not available at that time. And frankly, from a capacity system is not going to be available any time in the foreseeable future. But in this current framework, they would not be a town utility customer for the distributed wastewater system because they're in unincorporated and we don't have a permit that covers that. So it would be to give staff permission to pursue grant funding and permission to pursue a ISBA wide DEP permit for.
I think this has a lot of promise. And I know I ask a lot of questions, but we're talking big bucks when we talk sewer. Can we get the county to come into a workshop to sit there and explain to the council how we could work with them to see about getting their funding? As he mentioned,
Didn't you say that the funding was only for unincorporated?
Yeah, their grants allocated only to unincorporated.
Only to unincorporated areas, but that includes Cedar Creek. And how they could work with us because
Oh, and sorry,
Although they're in the unincorporated area, they are within our ISBA. And I can see them being integrated into the billing system and all
So,
that.
there's a couple of points in there. So yes, they could be integrated into the town's billing system rather than a county centralized billing system. But in terms of grants availability for Cedar Creek, that would not apply because the grants are for septic to sewer, including DWTS, septic to sewer conversion, and Cedar Creek would count as a new build. So they would not be getting all of that grant funding to build new DWTS from scratch. Right, but other areas in
But they would be
unincorporated.
building the system and charging the new homeowners for it as part of the price of the house, correct?
Honestly, from my understanding, the billing for Cedar Creek would have to be done through whatever mechanism the county set up until the point where
Yeah.
the town has been established.
I'm suggesting that the town could do that part of it since it's right adjacent to us as opposed to the county setting that up, consistent with what you were telling
Yeah, and
me
I could
earlier.
probably fix some of that. The county right now won't fund a fresh subdivision. The developer has to build it,
Right.
and then they'd have to petition to have somebody take it.
I'm talking about the operational, who's gonna operate the system once it's built.
That's done through all.
Yeah.
On-site.
Yeah, but they would, if they did that, they'd create an HOA that would be the owner of the system, and we would operate for them. Whereas if they came with you, they would build it, transfer it over to you, and then if you're running other ones, you could fit it in.
But in that instance, if you had this DWTS system in there, are we talking about one in each lot, or are we talking about one to do clusters?
Depends on how the development's laid out and what they want to do. We have one in the county that's going to be clustered. There'll be about 100 units on one treatment system. They'll have individual units at the houses, and then it'll go to a community drain fields because that's how their land lays out. Other ones we're doing, there's an individual unit in each house. We have some situations where we have one unit serves two houses. So it kind of depends on how the developer wants to proceed and what their land looks like and what their soils look like.
So how many houses in total, if you were to put it on one system, how many houses is the maximum that you could put on?
We've got a small trailer park. We're putting 17 homes on one. We've got another one that we're in the middle of starting construction on. There'll be 100 units will go. There's 100 units. They split. There's two houses per each treatment unit in the yard, and it goes to a community drain field for all of them. There's no drain field in the yard.
So approving this would not be holding anything.
No,
It's just given approval to pursue.
We do the grant submission. We'd work with
Right.
Woodard and Curran and Onsite for the grant submission. And then we would be bringing back to council whatever the further additional paperwork is for the ISBA wide DEP permitting for onsite. But again, that's going to take a lot more council approval to.
Sure.
implement
So
that.
right now, all it's doing is it's going to be staff time to pursue. this.
Right, yeah, we want to make sure we're on the right track and not wasting time to pursue.
Have you worked with Woodward and Curran before?
No,
Are you familiar with them?
I'm familiar with them. I know
Okay.
people that work there, so there's.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's really not a problem.
Okay.
And it would be designed to fit in with an existing.
Renee or John, do you have any more questions? Because I'm anxious to move on.
Well, generally, concrete tanks will last 40 years plus.
Okay.
We replace the electronics and so forth that are in them. That's part of our maintenance fee, and they get replaced when they fail.
Were you selected by the county on a competitive basis?
Yes.
And are there other companies that bid on that contract?
I don't know that there's any companies that actually operate a system right now or installed one.
So
There are some
you
other
have a
companies looking.
unique system is what you're saying.
Yeah, Councilman Miles, from my research on this for the past couple of years, it's depending on how you phrase it, it's effectively a sole source for what you're looking for in terms of a
Right.
turnkey DWTS operation and the whole framework that it provides. It would qualify under a sole source if you state that that's what you're looking for.
I think Heather has a question.
I do have one question for the grant agreements or the application. Is there a requirement that the mayor or the town manager sign? I'm just thinking about the motion that the council needs to make so that there's the correct authorization.
Somebody's gonna have to sign, so it's either gonna be the mayor or the town manager. I think right now, the direction I would get is go look and let's see what's out there. There's 4 or 5 different funds that are available, depending on how the legislature sets them up, and what the timing is and so forth. There is one that has some timing that's in early September. That's the one we're talking about that, if there's money there, we want to try to get it.
Okay.
But there are other ones that have different timing. So, from that standpoint.
I make a motion that we.
have a question.
Sorry, Renee.
I would like, Morgan, to hear from our Director of Public Works. What does he think about the system? I still have questions.
State your name for
Donald Duck. Quack, quack. My opinion on this is, I just want to remind the council that this was brought before a former council and a former mayor over 4 years ago. Sean and I worked very hard with the county. The council at that time passed up on millions of dollars of grant funding and turned it all down. And I bring that fact up to say that me and Sean done our research. We sat down with the county manager. We presented this to council. Council turned it down. Now Lake County is managing this whole system within unincorporated. At that time, the town would have got its grant funding. It would have got the county's grant funding and additional funding that Lake County was going to give us. And we would be managing, this town would be managing the entire system and all of Lake County.
I remember that. I remember
Please let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he just said that they charge $70 a month. They got over 150 units in Lake County right now. If we would have took that proposal that Sean and I presented to council back then, that's over $500,000 of revenue that this town missed out on. That's just the ones in Lake County. If we'd have got ones in Howey to get on this program, there's been multiple people since then that's had to change out their septic tanks because they were failing, change out their drain fields. They could have went to this system. We would have had the grant funding to 100% fund them. Plus that would have helped the town's allocation through DEP and St. John's that I'm looking at every year trying to determine how we're going to get stormwater runoff out of the lake and get these stormwater grants, which I have TMDLs, which is total maximum daily load that we have to reduce in this town, which is the amount of nitrogen and phosphate that he had mentioned that goes into the groundwater, which goes into the lake. Right now, we're sitting at a deficit where by 2027, we're supposed to reduce that TDML by 22 units, and we're at like 10. So this will help with our allocation on that. It will help clean up the lakes in this area, and that's the reason why he had mentioned that the springs area, which are impaired water bodies throughout Lake County and throughout Central Florida, have went to these systems. They've cleaned up springs. They've cleaned up bodies of water. JJ and I also, 4 years ago, the picture that was in his slideshow, which was in Apopka, we went to that house, I think it's the exact same house, and watched them install that unit and was trained on how they install it, what the system looks like. And that system, you're on what? Upgrade number 3, I think, by now. Which helps out a lot, because back then your total nitrogen was lower. You wasn't removing a whole lot of phosphate. All that's changed. Their technology has gotten a lot better. These are great systems. And as we talk about, Councilor Miles says central sewer, that could be 5, 10 years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is a chance now to, at least if y'all approve this, where we can start looking for these grants and look for this allocated money that could bring into the town. Then we could start getting some of these people off septic and onto a distributed wastewater treatment system and help the lakes and help the bodies of water around this area. So,
Well, and to Morgan's point, you know, we applied for this years ago, and that was when we didn't have any foreseeable possibility of extra capacity from the CDD. So this was the solution at that
and
time.
we're looking at the same thing right now.
Well, and
We've already exhausted all that
Yeah.
allocation.
But I think there is a way to view this as a hybrid approach, you know, to put the sewer where it makes sense in the central areas and to use this at least in the outlier areas, but that's to be.
Why did
part
the
of
council
feasibility.
turn
I was
it
about
down?
to ask that question. Do we know why? That was
Yeah,
my
but none of the existing council was on the council at the time that happened.
No, we
Was
weren't.
that before?
We
You
were
must be-
before.
The election and.
That was before.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Yeah.
So do we?
So why
my-
did they turn it
There
down?
was a couple different reasons. Some of the town residents didn't agree with this system and the cost of it, even though we were gonna get the grant funding to pay for it. We had, John and I, we had to plow for, I think our grant was $500,000. The county's was over $1 million. They were gonna give us another $1 million in ARPA funding. But I remember one council, and I don't remember counselor who it was, but said, I don't know if the county's gonna give us money. I don't think that there's some reason behind this. If the
didn't
county's
give
gonna give
us
us
the
this
county.
millions of dollars.
Wow.
And the reason was because they didn't have a utility to run this. We did.
Yeah.
And we were the only ones besides Lake County that applied for grant funding and received it from DEP. And DEP, the county said, we don't have the manpower to do this. Would y'all want to take it? And Sean and I sat down with the county manager and we figured out a system. They said, you keep your 400,000 or 500,000, whatever it was. We'll give you our $1 million. We'll even grab another $1 million that we got in ARPA funds. We'll throw that in there. Y'all create the whole system. Y'all run it.
They saw it as a good thing, but a thing that they could not manage because they did not have a utility billing arm.
Right.
So the reason that the previous council denied it is because of not trusting the county.
In short.
In short.
In
Thank you.
Thanks, Morgan.
What did you, they didn't trust?
They
the
didn't trust the county.
Probably
In
shouldn't-
short.
Maybe you shouldn't have done it that time.
We have more questions.
No, go with your motion.
I'd like to make a
Can I
motion.
just,
Oh, sorry.
I'm trying to move it along.
I know. Before,
So sorry.
before that, can I just open it up for any public comment? please?
Thank you, Morgan.
I was too quick to close it, too slow to close it.
Tom Baloo, 1005 North Tangerine Avenue. I think definitely we should pursue this. I would not like to see our streets all torn up in the future. It's going to give us an opportunity to not spend a lot of money down the road. They can put one in my yard tomorrow, start tomorrow. With or without funding, but please go for the grant.
Any other public comment?
Mitzi Maxwell, 803 Camino Real Boulevard. I think curiosity is a wonderful thing, and there sounds like we should be excited about the possibility of this new technology helping everyone in the town. I want to follow it with something that Heather asked. I'm not quite sure what I understand approving looking into a grant, but typically when you apply for a grant, the people that are giving you the money want to know that you're approved to spend that money or to match that money or manage that money. And I don't have a good sense right now. I hear let's go answer questions, let's go ask questions, but applying for a grant to me should mean that we, the people, understand what the costs are associated with that we're applying and receiving a grant for. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here. I just want us to be transparent because we don't know what this grant is, what it does, what the time frame is. Grants can take a year or two, and I just don't hear enough. Thank you.
Just as a matter of interest, because it does say an interlocal service boundary agreement. Who's the who is the agreement between, if it's an agreement?
So if we're talking about the interlocal service boundary agreement, that's the agreement between all the municipalities and the county.
No, I understand that. I understand that part, but it says for distributed wastewater system. So
Right. So if we go to D, and Rob can correct me on this or expand further, if we go to DEP and say, we would like a permit to say that we are the ones in charge of approving and managing all distributed wastewater technology systems in our treatment systems in our zone, which is the ISBA, that's the limiting factors. That's the area that we have a right to manage utilities.
The 180 service area? Is that what you mean?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Because that is, but I was thinking the annexation thing. Okay.
Sorry, yeah, so what,
Okay.
the 180 service area, the ISBA, so basically where Leesburg and Groveland stop, all that county area between those areas and Howey. So those are areas that we have the right of first refusal to be a utility service provider, whether it's for water or wastewater. But it's tough to put water lines out there, and we don't have the capacity to push wastewater, and we could do this as one-offs in the unincorporated area without having to have transmission lines from here all the way to the end of County Road 48, for example. So if there's a subdivision with a failing system or failing septic tanks, they can call us and we can say, why, yes, we can hook up your 50 homes and do it in short order without 3 miles of pipe between here and there. And they would be Howey utility customers at that point because they are within the 180 within the ISBA. But well, and we could also, any new homes, if that's clear with the county, any new homes, we would say, well, no, we're not approving any septic tanks. We would tell that to Department of Health. We'd get the permit. Any new, any replacement tanks, any replacement drain fields, sorry, they need to upgrade to the DWTS. They don't have to be within 1,000 feet of a wastewater transmission line. It could be anywhere.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So again, this is in my mind, this is a hybrid approach. We use the DWTS where it makes sense, mostly in the unincorporated, in my mind. We use the centralized sewer where it makes sense. Are we going to put these tanks half a block away from our current wastewater line?
No.
Probably not the best implementation, right? But 3 miles out on number 2 road makes perfect sense.
And in response to Mitzi's comments, Mitzi, Woodard and Curran is currently doing a feasibility study. Part of that study is to answer the questions that you're talking about, costs and so forth. And Rob mentioned that you're going to work with them to evaluate costs so that you can give us a better handle on that, correct?
I think the other thing to think about is it's election season, so everybody's up on it. You have to campaign for this money. That's what we need permission to do. Some of this money is not going to be out till 6 or 9 months. You got to be on the list. So we don't want to commit the town to anything. We just want to get on the list and kind of campaign for the project and say, boy, we got this money and we're ready to spend it and this is how we're going to do it and that kind of thing. So that's really part of what we want to do. That there may be an opportunity to submit on one that's due in September. But we'll have, we've got to look at how much money they got and where do they prioritize it and where do we think we stand with it. So from that standpoint.
Okay, is there any other public comment? So close public comments, bring it back to council. So what are we looking to craft a motion here then?
Can I take a swing at the verbiage of it? And
Sure can.
So this would be a recommendation of approval of the pursuit of grant funding and an ISBA-wide DWTS permitted option to be brought back to council as necessary during the process of each of those.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Tim second. Let's have a roll call vote on this, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
Yes.
Counselor Arnold,
Yes.
Counselor Lanneman,
Yes.
Counselor Miles,
Yes.
Mayor Wells.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Appreciate it, you guys. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much.
Let's move on to item 8, new business consideration and approval of the Regency at Lake Hills Clubhouse final site plans.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and councilors. This item is only for the clubhouse in the Regency at Lake Hills development. It is private to the residents within that development. So there will be the public park coming forth later. So this is only the clubhouse. And the applicant has provided plans that meet the requirements of the Land Development Code. They've also provided architectural elevations, and the Planning and Zoning Board has approved the elevations, and they recommend approval of the clubhouse as presented. I'll be glad to answer any questions, and the applicant may like to address you as well. Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Would the applicant like to ask anything or add anything to that? Can you state your name and address for the record?
Hello, everybody. My name is Charlie Crawford. I live at 8186 Blue Star Circle in Orlando. No, I don't want to add anything else to April's presentation. But we're here to address any questions or comments that you have about the clubhouse.
Okay. You have any questions, Tim?
Yeah, I do have a question. On the drainage report, it states that Pond 9 will be the receiving surface water for this project and was constructed with the previously permitted plans. The subject pond was designed to provide water quality treatment and attenuation. The outfill for the Pond 9 is directly into Lake Harris. And I have concerns about that. I didn't know that you could do that. I mean, isn't all the runoff of fertilizer and so forth gonna go into that pond?
David Stokes, Matt Moorhead and Stokes, we're the civil
You just
engineer on the
Put the
project.
microphone up and you.
Sorry, I'm not a loud talker. David Stokes. Oh,
Yeah, you can just pull it up.
there you go.
That's about, thank you.
So that pond was, and all the ponds were permitted with the master roadway and master infrastructure plan set through the town and St. John's. This project, the clubhouse and all of the impervious surface, the pavement, the sidewalk, the grassed areas, all those things meet all the criteria that we established during that permit for things we measure like curve number, area, for all those different items as well. So there's no changes to the ponds that are occurring as part of the clubhouse. It's all master planned within that pond system already.
So let's not just talk about this pond, then all of the ponds. So people are gonna go out and they're gonna fertilize their lawn. We're gonna have a storm. That fertilizer is gonna go into the retention ponds. And St. John's gave you guys the approval to then discharge that into the lake?
Well, not specifically for fertilizer, but for stormwater runoff from the subdivision.
Isn't that what's gonna be in
Yes.
stormwater runoff?
Whatever runs off the lots goes into the collection system, which goes to ponds, which has treatment criteria and volumes established within the pond.
And
then
what
it out-
type, and the only reason I'm asking this, we just spent how much time talking about septic systems? I'm worried this is gonna be a heck of a lot worse than leakage from a septic system. So what type of treatment takes place in those retention ponds?
So the St. John's rules, it's called water quality treatment. So
Okay.
there's varying amounts of retention that you provide within the pond to treat the first, we call it the first flush of runoff, when the storm happens.
Right.
So that's built into the St. John's regulations. They call it, at the time that this was permitted through St. John's, it was called water quality treatment. And so that's what that is for. It's for all the, whatever's on the surface that gets flushed away during the storm event.
So what would you say the percentage of nitrogen from the fertilizer is being removed before it gets dumped into the lake?
I couldn't say.
This is a real concern of mine. I don't know if anybody else has it. I mean, why are we spending time on sewer and septic if we can just do this? You guys, any of you guys have any? How much is it treated? How much gets discharged?
Are you getting this? Pond Nine's being vetted with St. John's Water Management District, is it not? Did
Yeah,
they
he
not
said
have
already
to give you a
approved.
Yeah,
permit?
he said that they got
Already
approval.
Okay, did you not have to address what he's saying when you applied to St. John's?
The St. John's rules that were in effect at the time is what we complied with. Their rules have changed. Newer projects have different criteria to follow. But this project was permitted under St. John's and the town's codes under the previous criteria.
So at the time of the developers agreement in 2018 or just recently?
The time the construction plans were permitted.
Morgan, do you have any idea what St. John's requirements are?
The new rules take into account phosphorus and nitrogen across the entire water management district. There are 5 different levels of removal requirements in the water management district criteria. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what it would be, but their new rules do specifically address phosphorus and nitrogen for all projects. Previously, historically with St. John's, we call it the old Lake Apopka rule. Lake Apopka had a phosphorus component, not nitrogen. Then for a while, DEP had several impaired water body criteria throughout the state of Florida. If the water body was deemed impaired, there was a level of phosphorus or nitrogen if impaired for those nutrients as identified by the state of Florida. So there's a lot to this, but historically there was different things in different water bodies throughout the state of Florida. At the time this project was permitted, this basin, this project, this land, those things weren't required.
Okay, so let me ask you this question then. So would Pond 9 meet the new criteria?
I'd have to go back and check because it was, previously a crop, orange groves. The likelihood that it would is very high because agricultural based properties, such as farming, things like that, generated a lot of nutrients because of the operations. So in that case, it probably would be very close if it didn't meet it. Something like a wooded property, lots of live oaks and just trees and not a farming operation, it would not meet it with just a wet pond. You'd have to do something else in addition to that.
I have a very simple question for you. I was counting the number of ponds in your area, and the highest numbered one I saw was number 12. So I went looking to see where all the different ponds were, and I couldn't find a number 6 and a number 11. What happened to those 2 ponds?
I'm not sure. I have to go back and look.
Yeah, it's just pure curiosity. You numbered them 1 through 5 and 7 through 10 and 12.
Yeah, I have to go back and look. We had a few pond changes throughout the way, so we might have dropped one. We had a few pond changes throughout the course of the design. So it could be that we changed, 2 ponds into 1 and we didn't go renumber everything else.
And if you made those changes would have gone back through St. John's to have them approved?
Correct. As the project sits today out there, it is as it is permitted with St. John's in the town.
So this what we're looking to approve tonight is just the site plan for you to build the new clubhouse,
This is
correct?
the site plan for the building, the hardscape amenities and the parking lot for the clubhouse facility.
Okay.
I think your plan is beautiful. It's 10,000 square feet. I like the plan a lot. I'm just concerned. Morgan, Should we be concerned about this pond?
When Don Griffey and I review these plans, we make sure that the St. John's has already reviewed them and approved them. I will say this, and I understand your concern about the phosphorus and nitrogen and fertilizer and the runoff of that. And I've been working with Sean and what I want to do is present, and this will help that issue that you're talking about. Lake County and other counties and cities throughout Florida have a fertilizer ordinance. And I want to adopt that ordinance here. And what that does is change the times of fertilizings and what type of fertilizings you can use and what type of year. And then that'll help what you're talking about also. But I've looked at Lake counties. I'm trying to research if they've changed it since I left Lake County, because I know what it was when I was over there. And I'm going to work with Heather and Sean on that and John and try to get that ordinance before the town.
But you're comfortable with this?
If St. John's approved it, they are way more stricter than Don Griffey and I would be. So if St. John's approved the plan, then I'm okay with it.
Any other council questions? Any public comment on this item only? Anybody online, Sean? No.
Mitzi Maxwell, 803 Camino Royale. Don't we get things in writing? Can't we get some kind of confirmation from St. John's that this is the case? I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't believe people that are.
Well, that would have all come up. It's already been reviewed by Morgan and Don Griffey. So whatever they're saying it is, it's already been approved by the town. That's not the issue here.
I'm saying, do we know for sure
Yeah, because
that
they will have had it in writing from St. John's. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to move forward with the construction.
Okay.
Thank you. With that, I'll close public comment, bring it back to
Motion
council.
to approve.
Second.
We just do it by a straight up and down vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, guys. Let's move on to item 9.
We got 5 minutes.
Gonna have a motion for a 5-minute break.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's at 8:12.
Not answering, but. Oh, can I go next door? You got all kinds of at the house.
You ready? Good. Let's bring this meeting back to order at 8:18. We'll move on to item 9 of new business, consideration approval of Watermark Stonehill PUD amendment.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors. This item is brought to you at the request by Pulte. Pulte is developing the homes in Watermark, now called Stonehill. And this request is to amend the PUD to allow homes greater than 3,500 square feet in size across all of the lots. The way that the PUD is currently structured is that the 70-foot and 80-foot wide lots with the their dimensions, they cannot have homes that are greater than 3,500 square feet. So they have provided and subsequently was approved by the planning board, the renderings and architectural elevations. They've included that in this packet for you all as support of requesting that 3,500 foot maximum to be lifted. So the idea is that there's enough architectural detail on the elevations of these homes that they don't look like big boxes and that they can meet the intent at the time that restriction was put in place. Staff is supporting this request based on the architectural elevations that are provided. The planning board also heard this item and recommended approval with stipulation that the architectural elevations that were submitted to the board and approved by the board, that if that 3,500 square foot maximum is lifted, that they cannot change the architectural elevations that have been presented. And of course, if they do, they would have to come back to the planning board for approval. So based on that, staff does recommend.
They didn't provide us the key information for us to make a decision, which is the width of each of the houses. Those particular lot sizes have 12.5 foot setbacks on the sides. If you add that together, it's 25 feet. So if any of those houses are wider that are than 45 feet, they won't fit on the 70-foot lots. And likewise, if any of them are wider than 55 feet, they won't fit on the 80-foot lots. So question is,
Well, let's
but
let,
it was the width of the houses.
let's let the lady who's going to do a presentation, because I'm fairly confident that she wouldn't have turned up here tonight if they won't fit on the lots. So let's just let her do her presentation and then we can discuss it.
Yes, sir. Just a clarification, the setbacks on those lots are 10 feet on the sides. It's only the corner lots that have the 12.5 foot side setback. So with that, I'll let the applicant take over.
Yeah, my name is Malaya Smith-Ragusa. I'm with Pulte. I'm happy to do the presentation. I can breeze right through it and start just answering questions as well. So as she mentioned before, this was previously the Watermark PUD. We've now renamed the community to Stonehill. Like she went over, the request is just to relieve that 3,500 square foot maximum within the community. We don't plan to change any of the setbacks or any of the other requirements within the PUD as established. It's just the 3,500 square foot. Here's just a quick site map of the community to give you kind of a location of where we're at, but I'm pretty sure you guys know where we're at, so we can keep it moving. And then here's an elevation comparison. So for example, the Monroe is below 3,500 square feet. The Roseland is above 3,500 square feet. So from the road, you won't necessarily be able to tell the difference between which home is over and under. It's more of the interior finishes that we're providing, second stories without openings to the bottom that allow that 3,500 square foot. Here's all the elevations that we're providing that are over 3,500 square foot, just so that you can look at. As she mentioned, we're not doing that big stucco box. Instead, we have siding on the upper floors, and then some other architectural finishes that we've worked with staff and the planning and zoning board on to make it look nice. And then here's kind of an example of what you were talking about. And then these are actually on lots that are in our community. So the Stellar and the Stellar Grand. The Stellar is just the single story model, and the Stellar Grand is the second story model. They're the exact same footprint. We're just providing a second story, which goes over the 3,500 square foot. We still fit within the same setback with a 40-foot and a 50-foot product, and we meet all rear setbacks as well. So everything fits on the building pads that were previously approved.
I have some questions for you.
Yes, sir.
You know, I know, I just think of these crazy things. When you accepted, and just so you know, I think this developer was one of the better ones I've seen. When you accepted to be the builder, you knew the requirements, didn't you?
Correct, yeah.
But yet 10 of the designs you have come on, and I'm sorry, 4 of the 10 designs you have come in with exceed 3,500 square feet.
That was after working with staff. We didn't want to go back to the architectural board twice. We knew we were going up for a PUD revision, and that was what was going to take longer. So we got the architectural components together and said, hey, let's go in with the ones that come above and just do one whole submittal rather than breaking it up into pieces.
Yeah, we have a development in town that has some homes that are 4,000 square feet and over on 80 front lots, 80 feet front lots. There's no land left.
We meet the same building footprints as we would.
I understand exactly what you just showed us. You have 60 lots of 300 that are already quarter acre. So that's 20% of the total development. You can already put over 3,500 square feet. But yet, knowing that, you're coming back in and asking to put these larger homes on smaller lots when you know that the agreement does not say that. Correct?
Yes, 100%. And we, knew that with the developer, and he came in and gave us that verbal as well and said that there could be an opportunity for a PUD amendment to it. Like we said, we're not changing the building footprint at all, just going up.
So if you've just, sorry, Tim.
That's okay.
So if you've got a home, single story home that can go on one of these lots and it's under 3,500 square feet and you're good with that. So if they just go vertical and put a second story on it, which takes it over 3,500 square feet, nothing else has changed. Why are you adverse to it?
Well, there's a number of reasons. One, in a bigger house, you're going to be able to fit more people. Correct? I know in Tallahassee, there's a number of them have rental people in. Is that what we want?
There was a reason why that 3,500 foot was put in there. And Renee probably remembers it as I do. It's because of our concern with the Tallahassee development, where they put these boxes right next to each other on 65 and 60-foot lots. Now, one of the things that we did is we expanded for this development the lot size to 70 and 80. And when they added a second parcel, we required them to comply with the new code that was rewritten by the town council, which specified a minimum of quarter acre lots. So that's how they got this mix of lots. The concern is, will they fit on these larger size lots? And we picked 3,500 feet kind of arbitrarily in order to kind of force the developer to leave some green space around every house. When I look at what they're proposing, 3 of the houses are like 100 square foot or 150 square feet, maybe 200 square feet above the 35. Yeah. The only one that really bothers me is the Roseland at 4,800 square feet going on 70 and 80-foot lots. That's a big house to be on a 70-foot lot.
But we're going vertical.
Well,
They're
they,
not-
they
they're
achieved it by
going
going up,
vertical.
by doing 2-story,
Mhm.
but still,
Josh, how big are the lots
Okay.
in Talashay? I thought they were 70 and 80. Are they 55 and
No,
60?
75 by 120.
they're
And some of them are
65
irregular.
and 60
No,
foot
they're
wide.
bigger than
So
that.
we have phase, you gotta keep in mind, we have two phases. Second phase is 60.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
that's just second phase. The first phase is mostly 70s and 80s.
Yeah, that's.
I will tell you on my lot, my frontage is probably only 40, but my back frontage is like 250.
Yeah.
So it's a pie shape.
Right.
And I don't know if I can speak.
80s though. I thought that they were majority.
There's some that are wider. Well, so there's one, if you come behind our mailboxes.
Right.
There's one, I call it on the island. It's got the big 5,000 square foot house. That one's much wider. So there are some 80s in there, but there's not a ton.
Right.
And if I could just reference the P and Z board, if you don't mind. So I did bring up Counselor Miles. I specifically stated, I believe the 3,500 square foot was put in place to avoid the Army barracks and the Lego look. I brought that up in the meeting at P and Z. And I will tell you, I looked at all of these. There is not the box feel. As you saw, the fronts of these homes, beautiful architectural design. The sides have a ton, the back has a ton, each side, left, right, back. And that is why I said, hey, I think it should go forward, only based on it's not the box feel. And I specifically asked, we had at the P and Z meeting a Excel spreadsheet of types, and there was 40, 50, and 54 foot wide. So going to the 70s, the 54 won't even fit to meet the setbacks. That was something they clarified there, so it can't go there. But if you look, I believe that was one home maybe. The 50s, even that Roseland, technically, because they're going up, it was fine. Richard Mulvaney brought up the fact that he was concerned about pools. You know, people are going to want pools, the depth. So one thing I'd asked for, and they provided it here tonight, which was great, was the depth of the homes. Because in Talashay, one of the biggest problems is the Avalons. Those box homes, they're wide, but they're not deep. The Avalons are 75 almost deep, and that's where you're getting all your issues with pool setbacks and that. All those big boxes actually have giant backyards. So that was the big thing that we asked, and it's great to see this right here that, right, so that depth is, it's great that it's not,
Yeah,
it's
we
not
also
too-
added 10 feet on the front setback compared to what was authorized in Talashay.
Right. And that's, I understand the point, but why y'all did that, and it's definitely appreciative because again, we struggled with it. But their intent was, hey, we're not putting these Lego pieces together and slapping them down. If you look at the elevations from the front, the sides, the back, there's just peaks and valleys everywhere. So that's why I was the one that made the motion to move forward with it, and I believe it was a 5-1 vote.
5-1.
Yeah.
And we do think there is going to be really a luxury buyer here, and that's kind of the need for the, larger home as well as the more beautified.
How much are these 3,500 plus square foot homes likely to go on the market for?
Starting at 500, am I correct?
Yes, and some of those, like the Roseland, will probably be our most expensive model. Has a wine cave in it,
So you
all
don't-
decked out.
You don't anticipate these are going to be bought up and used as rental properties?
No, we don't.
Do you have in your covenants and restrictions that they cannot turn them into rental properties till they've been owned for a year?
Correct. And then they have to be long-term rental as well. You cannot do like Airbnb rentals within it. It's got to be a year term for a rental.
Okay, well, we've always said, Tim, and you said it more than anybody, that we need to listen to the P and Z. So if they were 5-1.
I disagree with
Okay, I must have phrased that wrong.
You phrased it exactly correctly.
Well, the Ashley, is that the name? of one
Ashby,
of them?
there's an Ashby and an Ashby Grand. Yes.
It's got a 54 foot wide.
Yes. So that would only
It
fit on
will
the
not-
4-acre lot.
That will not fit a 70-foot lot.
Correct. Our 70-foot lots fit the 40-foot product. our 80-foot lots fit our 50-foot product, and then the 54 can fit on the quarter acre.
All right.
See, what I'd like to do is allow them to do this, but on the 80-foot lot. I think 70 is just too small in my mind, but.
Well, the restriction that I would put on them is they have to meet the side setback requirements.
That's already in the
Yeah, that's
development
already.
agreement.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but they can't not
They
do that
can't.
because it's not.
They
movement.
they can't build if they don't meet the setbacks. Let me just open this up for any public comment. I know Josh has already been, but then I'll close public comment and bring it back to council. Before we do that, can we just have a motion to extend the meeting for 30 minutes?
Motion to extend for 30 minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So somebody wish to make a motion to approve this final site plan?
I make a motion to.
Sorry, the PUD amendment. I do beg your pardon. I was reading the wrong line.
Correct. So what we're talking about is that we are approving that the 3,500 square feet, but it's going vertical and not, they have to meet the setback.
Well, they would have to do that
Okay,
anyway.
so I make a motion to approve this amendment for.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think on this one, we will have a roll call vote, please.
The motion included that they have to meet side setbacks.
Yes, I did say that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, they
It's
have to.
it's
anyway,
irrelevant,
so
but if you want to put it in there, put it in there.
I want
No,
to make
hold on.
that
Yeah.
crystal clear.
Okay.
So the side setbacks, all the setbacks are already set forth in the development agreement.
Yeah.
So the only thing that you're amending would be to remove that 3,500 square
Yeah.
foot limitation.
Where they can build the 4,800 square foot
Correct.
home.
Do what they do in China, build up.
Well, it
Mayor
increase.
Pro Tem Everline,
No,
Councilor Arnold,
Yes.
Councilor Lanneman,
Yes.
Councilor Miles,
Yes.
Mayor Wells,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Let's move on to item 10 of new business consideration and approval of phase 4B, final subdivision plans for Hillside Groves.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilors. This final item that I have to present to you tonight is for the final subdivision plan for Phase 4B of Hillside Groves. It meets all of the requirements of the Land Development Code. Based on that, staff recommended approval of this. The Planning Board did hear this item as well. They recommend approval, but with a stipulation that for certain trees that could be problematic, that are street trees, that the applicant go back to look and see based on what the code allows to use some of those alternative trees that are not going to be an issue. And Board Member Huseman made that recommendation. And so if you'd like to hear specifics, I'm sure he'd be glad to address you about that, but just to safeguard the infrastructure in that area. So based on that, staff recommends approval and the Planning Board recommends approval based on the stipulation for the trees that could replace street trees are needed.
I'd like to ask one question.
Yes, sir.
I drove through the subdivision just today for the first time. The street is now open that connects number 2 with 19. I noticed that the street lights that they had in there were not, I thought we had put a requirement that they be consistent with the style of street light that's on Lake Shore in all the developer agreements. And I noticed that the street lights that they had were a flimsier version, and maybe not protecting. And the style that we have is a standard style that Duke Energy allows, that directs
The
light
Sanibel.
down. Yeah.
Sanibel style.
Yeah, it directs the light down, and I'm not sure that the style they put up there accomplishes that same thing. Could
Yes, sir, we
you
can
check
check on
that?
Yes, sir.
Did you also notice the playground by the amenity center? You may fit 12 kids there on the playground.
Well, we've had that already. Let's not revisit that.
Thank you, David.
So what, in regard to the trees, let's get back to that part. Is it that they're asking to change out the?
Yes, ma'am. They're not asking to, but in Board Member Hughesman's review of their plan, they are meeting the code requirement for the required street trees. But the concern is that those trees will have a negative impact on the infrastructure. He can speak to it better, so I will just turn it over.
No, I just, since he was on his way, I figured together I can get an understanding of why the trees.
Before
In April.
before Josh speaks, we also have Alex Flores, who's the developer online. So maybe we should direct the question to him so that he can address her. Sorry.
Hi, are you guys able to hear me?
Yes, we are.
So I just wanted to mention we did go back and look at the landscape plans, and I don't want to butcher the name, but it's a type of crepe myrtle that we can do instead, based on the recommendation of planning and zoning.
Oh,
The nachos.
is it the Natchez?
Natchez.
Yes.
Natchez.
Matches as in.
That would be pretty. Okay.
There we go.
And then the playground that's already installed in phase one will not be the only playground to the community as well.
No, I know that.
Josh, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, so the reason I brought up the trees is I noticed on the map, and I think you all were provided that map, there's a bunch of live oaks as the street trees. Again, a 70-foot lot has a problem with a live oak. One of our board members, Eric Bright, actually had less than 6 months after the live oak was in the front yard, went right through his main sewage line. 6 months. Now, you take these lots, which are considerably smaller, 40, 50, and you put a live oak there, they seek out water. I had an arborist come out to my house and I removed mine because oaks seek water. They go for it and they will go right through. So if you looked at the code, I had brought up to the developer and the builder that if you look at the code with the front setbacks from the inner sidewalk to the front of the home, if you were that 20 to 26, you could do the 5, Natchez, crepe myrtle, Chickasaw plum, bottle brush, a couple others. And I'd recommend that they look at that. And obviously it looks like that they listen to that, because my biggest thing is if you look at the homeowners, if you put those live oaks in there, they're going to come in. 99% of the people that live here don't know that you have to pull a permit to pull a tree, and they're just going to yank it out. Code's going to be at their house like they were at mine. And it's going to be a whole process. So I think if you just put that single trunk crepe myrtle in, you still get that actual canopy. You're not going to have roots that seek out water and don't have issues.
Yeah,
That was why I pushed for it.
Because we had about
I agree.
60 or 70 live oaks taken out by residents in Venetia because there just isn't enough room for the root system. So I'm okay with the crepe myrtle, which is what I have.
I do have a question on that. The previous plans were all approved. I mean, we're talking about a small section in phase 4. If those trees are changed in every other phase, is that going to be an engineering revision?
I don't think it would, since the code allows that in that situation, it would apply to those equally as well. Because you're not seeking to remove required trees, you're just following that provision of the code.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that everybody's on the same page if we change out for other phases as well.
Could you confirm which phases have reached their site plan approval? I believe that we've approved 1A and 1B, And this is the third one? 4B?
No, all phases have been approved. This is the last phase 4B.
All of what has been approved?
All of the phases.
Yes.
All phases have been approved.
So they brought forward phase 1A and 1B, and then the next approval was phases 2 through 4 at the same time.
Through 4A?
Through 4.
Through 4A
Yes, sir.
and B?
Yes, sir.
And what is this doing?
So it must have just been 4A then, because this is only 4.
Yes.
So this is the last one.
Okay.
All right.
So with this, we approve this, the entire subdivision will be approved.
Yes, sir. That's correct. Now, they are seeking to amend phase 2. So we'll be bringing that back to you in some capacity. That would be the only other thing that they're looking to do right now. And so we'll, as they present that in application, we'll bring that forward to you as well.
Okay. Any other council questions before I open it up for public comment? Anybody from the public?
Ann Griffin, 215 East Laurel Avenue, Howey-in-the-Hills. Okay. I want you, I understand where you're coming from and I understand about the size of the lots. But if you keep approving these lots that are going to be small, you can drive into subdivisions all over the place. You have no oak trees anymore that are being planted. And this is wrong. We're tearing down and destroying all these oak trees and we are not putting anything back like we should. And I understand when a piece of property is so small, and I agree with about how the root system is, but we need to put some of these back in our town and all over the state of Florida. And I just think you should think about if you have too small of a lot, you can't use any trees. The only where you see them on these developments are on the very outskirt. And it's very sad. It looks like some desert. I mean, some of these trees are they're not shade trees and things, you know.
Thank you, Ann. Any other public comment? And I'll close public comment, bring it back to council for a motion to approve phase 4B final subdivision plan for Hillside Groves.
I make a motion to approve phase 4B final subdivision plan for Hillside Groves. That would be for the trees that we're talking about, that they are going to exchange, put in different crepe myrtles in the place of the live oaks. Is that what we're approving?
I believe so.
Yes, correct?
Do
So
I
I
have
make a
a-
motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Counselor Miles?
No.
Counselor Lanneman?
Yes.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline?
No, and it's because I believe in live oak trees, and I also think if we need to start using root barriers, then you don't have the issues.
Mayor Wells?
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you.
Yep, and some of us are allergic to oak trees. Highly allergic to oak trees.
Let's move on. We're doing good. In item 11, consideration approval of the GFL increase. Thank you for staying. I'm going to make a motion to table this.
It's been worse, just for the record.
Did he not hear that?
So yeah, for the record, my name is Skip McCall, Government Contracts Manager for GFL Environmental. And again, we're here this month, like we were a couple months ago, requesting the 4.4% CPI adjustment to the residential and commercial rates.
Can I ask a question of our town attorney?
Please do.
This town attorney, are we not contractually bound to approve this? And if we don't approve it, could they sue the town?
So what the contract says is that you will approve,
Could you speak up a little bit?
you will approve a CPI increase, or you will not unreasonably deny the CPI increase. So when you're looking at what the contractual language says, to deny a CPI increase unreasonably would be grounds for things like the CPI increase is massive this year for some reason. And you think that that wouldn't be a fair representation of what the contract rate should be. Or that it wasn't requested correctly by GFL. They didn't come here in front of you and request it the
Is it
proper
a
way.
yes or a no?
So
I think we should let her finish, David. I don't think it's a straight yes.
anybody can sue anybody for any reason.
Yeah. I
All
know
right.
that.
So whether you want to approve this, what I was trying to say is the only reasons that you shouldn't approve the CPI increase were what I was just explaining to you. Performance reasons, like you were discussing last time, would fall under another section of the agreement. Issues that would happen to infrastructure in your town, like a road or something like that, should go under an insurance claim. There's different issues, different ways to approach things in the agreement. If you don't approve the CPI increase, you could be vulnerable to a lawsuit. Whether they would sue, I don't know the answer to that question. You can ask them.
I just wanted to, so the answer is a qualified yes.
The answer is you should approve the CPI increase unless you find it to be unreasonable.
Like for another example, I'll add to that. If we use the wrong CPI index, if we didn't follow what's exactly into the contract relative to what the CPI adjustment should be, but in this case, that's not the case. So.
And you are the policymaker, so you decide whether you think it is reasonable.
Did they comply with the contractual notice for the CPI increase?
They
Yes,
did,
they-
and the numbers have been reviewed by staff as well.
Is the number reasonable?
I would say absolutely, from everything we've seen with other CPI and MCI increases, it's
Have
within
we
the range.
documented any problems? I know we've discussed problems with them, but do we have written documentation maintained by the staff of the issues with their service delivery?
We do. To Heather's point, though, that falls in a different mitigating category.
A performance issue is not equivalent to a CPI increase under the
So
agreement.
what's the redress then? If we have problems, and we do, and they were supposed to be addressed, which they have not been, where's the redress from our side?
So Section 12 of the agreement provides that if GFL defaults in the performance of any of its obligations, then the town gives written notice to GFL of the default.
And then what happens?
Then you can give them an opportunity to cure, and if they don't, then you can terminate the agreement.
That's the only option.
You can sue them for specific performance. You can sue them for damages.
Interesting.
So maybe the next time you enter into an agreement for these types of services, you can tie the increase, the annual increase, to a service performance. That's a thought of how you do it.
See, we discussed a lot of the problems with the roads. I certainly brought up and sent a video to Skip to show them of the damage to the roads that were caused by the leaking hydraulic fluid, which was substantial coming out of Calabria and also going up Venezia Boulevard, those leakages were not addressed. They were not cleaned. They were not brought out to a team to do that. And coming out here this evening, I noticed that after the truck has been out today, that there are even fresh leakages in virtually outside of my house. And it's not unusual. And it's all over the town. And it just bothers me, the fact that we're held at gunpoint on this contract and they don't seem to be too bothered about keeping their contractual obligations, which we don't seem to have a gun for.
Then the appropriate manner to address that is to put these performance issues in writing underneath that section 12 of the agreement to address
Already done that, Sean, because this was all known from the last time. One hopes it's already been done and sent to them.
So we have certainly tracked on the town hall side any occasions of missed garbage or cracked lids or undelivered trash cans. I don't know if Mr. Cates has a full map of leakage areas throughout the town, such as you're referring to. I know we have the videos of particular cases in the newer subdivision, specifically Venezia.
It's in Old Town too. They're all over.
We were just in Venezia last week. We had our third party pressure washing company out there addressing several of those locations of spots that we talked about before. We're doing everything that we can to be proactive. If it's not enough, then I'll be willing to sit down with Sean and go through exactly what.
So you had them in Venezia last week.
Sure did.
And yet we brought this to your attention 2 months ago.
Yep.
So in the meantime, the hydraulic fluid that's all over the town is impregnating the asphalt. I mean, and certainly from what I've seen, if they've cleaned them, they're not clean. And so therefore we've got the issue of them slowly destroying our roads.
Is there, other than immediate action to clean it up, if a day or two goes by, is there any remedial action you can take to clean up the hydraulic spills?
As soon as we know that there's been a spill, the faster that we can expedite our third party pressure washing company, the better off it is, obviously.
So
it's better to be
2 months.
Let me 2 months going on. That's something that happened 6 months ago. It's going to be, to your point, it's going to be pretty difficult to make that new again, if you will, because it's already been 6 months since that's unfortunate.
2 months ago, when it was reported to you by my video, which I sent to you personally, then we would have been in better shape than we are today.
I'll say
I pointed out the last time you were here, that you had spilled some hydraulic fluid on the newly paved road in front of Howey Mansion, which is North Citrus is the name of the road. Did you clean that area up?
I'd have to go back and check with operations.
There was also a spill going up Gardenia, which was newly paved also. Also crushed a cone going around that corner.
See, the other thing is,
But what
If
you're
we,
saying
and let's just make sure that
is not the proper forum for us to address
yeah,
that
we got two
particular
things going on here.
We're mixing apples and oranges
Exactly.
here.
So
I'd like to make a motion to approve this agenda item and to direct the town manager to provide notice to the company that we are dissatisfied with certain aspects of their service and request that in the future they avoid as many hydraulic spills as they can, because they seem to have an excessive number, and B, that they properly clean them up within a reasonable period of time, a day.
well,
When they do it.
David, this was all discussed 2.5 months ago, and this should have already been done. And when they spill, to Skip's point, he said they were going to come out and do it, and they have not done that, and that's why it's brought up. I mean, it's fine to say it's under a different forum, but this is just going to get passed, and then we're just going to go back to the same old thing. I mean, for goodness sake, it can't be much difficult to get trucks that don't leak. And before we go any further, because you've already made your motion, I'd like to open it up for public comment first.
The motion is to approve the CPI and for the town manager to send a letter to them documenting the dissatisfaction that we have identified with their performance under the contract.
Andy Everline, 1012 North Lakeshore Boulevard. We walk Lakeshore, as most of you know, pretty much every day. There are spills all along Lakeshore Boulevard, and then we have watched twice now where a trash truck goes on the new gardenia that was just done over the grate, crushing the cone twice and going too fast. I mean, something's got to get done. Now, I called Morgan, he replaced the cone, and but he shouldn't have to be doing that. And the cones are there so they don't go over the grate. I'm very disappointed in GFL.
Well, that's a reason for providing them the letter, providing them written notification of our dissatisfaction.
So I think what Counselor Miles is distinguishing is there's one thing to say, oh, here's a video, here's a spot, here's an occasion over here. And it's another thing to provide a formal written notice that this is reaching unsatisfactory levels on the whole.
We discussed this at the last meeting that it was reaching unsatisfactory. I mean, months ago that it was reaching an unsatisfactory level. Renee has talked about it for a long time.
Yes, she has, and why don't we put it in writing?
Because we
Do
should
them.
have already put it in.
Months.
You gotta build a case.
I think that what we should have been doing, and this is not fault finding, is that we should have been documenting and maybe pulling some of the information from the meetings. I do know I have documentation here for every time spoken about GFL. I can't in good spirit I know that contractually, we need to go, to approve the CPI increase, because had we been documenting it along a period of time, we could now address the performance. I wish that no criticism, but when the contract was being put together to ensure a kick-out clause as well as a performance clause in the contract. So, that's where we are right now. Our roads, I mean, the question, I'm gonna yield for Morgan, because I'm thinking Morgan has
Not going
something.
to yield for Sean. I think
Oh.
he wants to say
Well,
something.
and I just want to say one thing on the documentation. So anything that's been brought to our attention that's been routed through town hall has been logged,
Oh,
which again
good.
is mostly
Okay.
missed pickups, cracked lids, lack of a can, things of that nature. As far as I know, and I mean, I've kept pretty good contact with Kim on this. Nobody's called in through town hall to say, oh, look, I just noticed a spill on, Holly Street, whatever. Can we document that? But no, I'm saying as far as Kim's logging of things has been concerned, because she's been logging it for months and months now since the previous conversation. But that being said, I know Mr. Cates is more directly related with roads, and we've talked about reaching out to Mr. Cates directly. So I turned it over to him for.
But this is a question. I'm sorry, one quick second. I have the worst headache, but listen, I have a question in regard to all of the conversations that we have been having about GFL over the last few months. Would that have been documented in what Kim is documenting?
So what Kim is documenting, again, every call, every issue that's come in, Kim has been logging it, making sure that there's actually a resolution related to that call coming in. But road complaints or leakage complaints, to my knowledge, none of them have gone to Kim. They would,
Or to me.
well,
The way this.
Except mine, except it's, it,
Well, about the drain, yes.
no, remember we sent video and pictures, Morgan.
You did, and I.
Yeah, you
document
remember
What
that.
I'd like to say is if anybody, residents in town or any council members, if they visually, I want to specify this, if they visually see a truck leaking, and we've had this in the past, and when we've had hydraulic lines break, they do come out almost immediately and clean it up. I will say that for GFL. But when one is visually leaking, if you'll take a picture of it and you send it to me, I will send them a code violation for illicit discharge and we can track it that way. But I have to have proof. We've had the same thing in Tallahassee where a car was leaking oil. The oil pan had busted. They parked it in the road and we exalted that code violation and made them clean the road up. We documented everything. That's the way I have to track it. Because if you tell me there's a leak out there, I go out there and take a picture of a leak. I can't prove who done it. The truck's not there. I don't see it leaking. I can't prove it because it could be a car parked in the road leaking oil. It could be a landscaper out there spilt gas on the road, whatever, while they were fueling up a lawnmower. So if it's routed to me and to my staff, we can document it. Or if you see one leaking and tell me which road it's on, I can follow them. If I visually see it leaking, I can stop them. I can contact GFL. And like I said, I'll do an illicit discharge code violation on them and we can track it through code.
Well, we can do that, but I've documented it because I sent it directly to GFL after literally the day after it was there. And this was discussed at the prior meeting 2.5 months ago. And they did not come out to clean it until last week. If that's not a breach of contract, I don't know what it is.
So in the notice of default section, if you provide a notice of default about a specific issue such as the leak to GFL, in that section of the contract, they have 30 days from receipt of the notice to cure the default or to begin to get started to cure the default. And then if they don't do that, then you, like I said, you can sue for specific performance for damages, terminate the agreement, or pursue other legal remedies. But you need to be specific in your notice to GFL what it is that they have done that you would like to have cured, and they have 30 days to do it.
Can I amend the motion to ask the attorney to draft the letter for the town manager to sign that meets the requirements that she laid out there?
Second.
So is your second along with
or the original motion as well?
So there's two parts. Part one is we have to authorize the CPI. Part two is asking the attorney to draft the notice that she just discussed for the town manager signature and send it to GFL.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other further council comment before I ask for a roll call vote?
My only concern with doing it this way.
We already did public comment.
Is we have no leverage really after this, I don't think, once it goes through.
Well, obviously we didn't have any leverage the last time we bought it up 2 months ago. So this is the problem that I have. If they didn't do it then, they ain't going to do it now. And the fact of the matter is, I'm not recommending how anybody votes, but at the end of the day, if they sue us, a judge is going to look at everything.
I just want to say that I believe in a written contract, and we have two parties to the contract, and we haven't followed, at least not that I know of, the requirements to provide a written notice of default yet to GFL. So once that's done, within the 30 days, if that's not taken care of, then you have the remedy available to the town.
I just don't see the remedy, because if they don't do it, then we're going to terminate the contract, and that's just.
Or there's damages to replace a piece of road or.
The town can do it and then.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me just make something very clear. We are in the best interest to have a good public-private partnership with all of our municipalities and all of our towns. If there's something that's going on, like mentioned before, if there's a leak that we can expedite and get on top of that as soon as that happens. And then let me just be clear. We have two different things. We have a leachate leak that would be like from the garbage juice. And then there would be like a hydraulic fluid leak, right? Potentially. Sometimes that drippage could be the leachate. Okay. Doesn't matter. We all, as an industry, garbage trucks, they all do it. It's part of the nature of what we do when we collect our garbage residentially. But I'm here to tell you, this company, and we're not here just to look for not only CPI and this because it's contractual. We're here to make sure that we take care of our towns. And if it didn't happen, and there's something that we're not doing that we should be doing, I will pull our regional team together and we'll be here. And if Mr. Mayor, you would like to go ride with one of us and I'll follow that truck with you, I would be more than happy to do that. I'm telling you, like, I'm not here tonight just to.
Told us you did that last time.
To make sure that
you followed a truck that didn't leak.
That we're on the same.
That's fine, but unless you're out here every week following trucks, because I can tell you this, if it's just leaching from the juices, in this 100-degree heat, that's gone in a day. What doesn't go is the hydraulic fluid, and that is still there from when I reported it to you 2.5 months ago. You didn't come out, you didn't fix it, and your trucks still leak.
We'll be more than happy to address anything that the Madam Attorney would like to put together, signed by your town manager, to be able to make sure that we're operating within the confines of this contract.
I'd like to call the motion.
Sorry, say again?
Wants to call the motion.
In other words, I'm calling for a vote.
Well, when we get a motion and a second, we then.
We had a motion and a second.
Hang on, you're not listening to me. When you have a motion and a second, the council then discuss it, and when everybody's had their say, we get to a vote. It's as simple as that. Has anybody else got anything to talk about before we vote? If not, then I'll have a roll call vote, please, John.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline.
Okay, I say yes, based on approving the CPI, but that letter going out really quickly. Yes.
Councilor Arnold.
Yes.
Councilor Lanneman.
Yes.
Councilor Miles.
Yes.
Mayor Wells.
No.
Motion passes. Thank you.
There are two parts.
Yeah,
The
you said,
CPI has been approved, but we had to send them a notice letter.
She's been taking notes.
I just need a list of all of the issues. And I have the video from the mayor.
you do have it or you want it?
I believe I have it.
We'll double check.
All right, let's move on because it's getting late. Sorry?
Sorry, we're on 12.
I'm just about to.
Well, we're 45 minutes into our 30-minute extension.
Then let's have another motion to extend it for a further 30 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, say nay.
Nay.
Consideration and approval of resolution 2026-18 solid waste rates. A resolution of the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, Florida, setting the fees for the collection and disposal of solid waste and recycling per home or business for a new monthly rate of $33.26 and $35.67 respectively, providing for severability and an effective date. The town manager will explain the resolution.
Yes, so normally we do this separately from our acceptance of the rate increase from GFL to show the separation between the functions. One is to pay the contracted vendor a certain amount or a certain increased amount within a given year. And the other is to talk about the increase to the residents, and just to show that they're separate. Because of timing, we had tabled the previous point and brought it back up tonight. But we do need to answer these questions, for budgetary purposes, because we have our third budget workshop and we need to know what the amounts will be for the upcoming fiscal year. So we're bringing it back tonight as well. This would be, again, just a simple pass through of the 4.4%, which is an increased expenditure to the town, which the town has just accepted. But this would be a pass through of the 4.4%, increasing the cost to the end user, which is the residents and businesses in the town. And staff does recommend approval of the pass through of the 4.4% increase.
In the current budget that we are going to talk about tomorrow, the difference between the cost to the town and what is currently being billed to the residents is right around 26,000. It was, and that's
How much did you say?
26,000. Now, bearing in mind that prior to that, because we had no increase last year, it was even more than that. And so inside of the cost in the budget, you have the 4.4% increase, but on the revenue side, it is net neutral because we haven't passed this resolution. So on the basis of that, and on the basis that you're not supposed to make a profit out of contractual services other than to cover your cost, which are covered through the billing and the water side of it, through people who are already working in town hall, my suggestion is, and certainly my motion would be, to not pass this increase on, because I think it's also unfair on the residents, because the service that we get from GFL is substandard. It's not unique to them, I can tell you that. Waste Pro is another one that's got those problems. And then, as a consequence, I don't think we should, I see your finger, David. I don't think we should be passing this on.
I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Last year, we did not raise the people's fee. There is a cost to providing the service from the staff that sends the bills out to all the people every month and maintains the records and receives the cash in. None of that is free. $26,000 won't even cover the payroll costs, much less the benefits of one employee who does the billing. So what is the problem that we bring into, let me finish if I could, please. What is the problem with the fact that we bring in slightly more money than what we paid the contractor? Because there are functions that we perform, the oversight that the public services director provides of the contract. That's not free either. There are things that we do in-house that cost us money, and there's no reason why we should not be charging a slight upcharge. And I don't think 26,000 is unreasonable for that amount. And with that, I would like to make a motion that we approve this resolution number 2026-018.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Let me, before we get into a vote, anybody from the public would like to speak on this item? If not, then I will close public comment. Any other further council discussion?
I don't think we should pass an increase on to the public until JFL gets these things squared away. I don't think it's fair to the residents.
Any other public, any other council comment? Renee? Sorry, I know you've got a headache. What's that?
I'm good.
Okay, then can we have a roll call vote then, please, John?
Counselor Miles,
Yes.
Counselor Lanneman,
Yes.
Counselor Arnold,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline.
No, and when and if GFL does get things cleaned up, that would switch to a yes. I think that would be the time to do it.
Mayor Wells,
No.
motion passes.
This was not about GFL. This was about the water. Am I
This is
correct?
about the fiscal responsibility.
Service.
This is for trash service.
From 3402 to 3510.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no, sorry, that's the water number that you just quoted. But we were just talking about the wastewater.
Okay, hold on. We're on item number
On 9/12. Just voted on.
right, we voted on 12, solid waste
Rates.
rates.
Correct.
We're going to the water rate increase.
Correct.
That's correct.
I need to change my vote.
Good.
I do.
I don't know, once it's been called, whether that's possible, is it, Heather?
I think if she made a mistake and thought we were on a
Yeah, I
different,
thought we were on,
Agenda item.
well, I thought we were on 13. Water rates, solid waste rates being passed on to the consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And why would we punish ourselves fiscally because we're unhappy with the hauler? I don't understand that at all. It makes zero sense.
Are we being punished? I thought you said with 26,000, that pretty much covers everything.
Heather, am I able
think-
to change my vote?
So if we lost money, you would be happy? And then we could
I
go
don't think-
bankrupt
I don't think we're
ultimately
gonna-
if we did it wrong.
From what I
We're
understand
going
is
to
that the
make-
money is already from the budget that we've been working on is inside the budget.
Just to be clear, as a point of clarification, the budget was designed because we were doing the budget earlier and we're doing this discussion a little bit later in the year. The budget was designed with the full water rate increase, the pass-through of the sanitation rate, and a potential wastewater rate increase, which will have to come up at a future meeting. So the budget was expecting the appropriate revenue.
But I
based on
see
inflation.
13
not-
on the wastewater.
Sean, that isn't how it is now. And I can tell you this, that up until the point that I spoke to Oscar when I reviewed the budget the last time, he had the exact same figure for the cost as he did for the revenue coming in from the residents, the same cost. So therefore, we would have been doing it, and to David's point, we would be making absolutely nothing. So I worked with him, went through the figures, added on the additional houses and everything, and that's why the figure that's been in there now has got a $26,000 increase because he was using the wrong figures. So in the budget, it is now correct for how it's going to be without us charging that on to the residents. We're making 26,000. It's in the budget.
I need to, how do I word that? I need to revise my vote.
I think let's just make a motion to pull it back up again.
Okay,
And
I'd like
just
to make
redo
a
it.
motion to pull that item number 12, consideration and approval resolution 2026 0.
Robert's rule, she can just say that she made a mistake and I can change.
It's
her vote
fine
right
too.
now.
Okay,
Like, we don't need to go through all that.
all right, thank you so much. So Robert's rules invoked. I made a mistake. I would like my vote to be a no vote.
Okay, motion fails.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move to 13, consideration and approval of a water rate increase.
Okay, so just as a point of clarification, because people have noted this to me. So the previous motion, anything in the schedule of fees can be modified by resolution, including the sanitation rate, which is why the previous item was a resolution. So then the question is, why is this item for the water rate increase not in the format of a resolution? So that is because by ordinance, it was established that the water rate shall increase every year by the municipal cost index, which is the municipal equivalent of the CPI. So again, it's already established by ordinance that this rate shall go up, and it's up to council to accept it or accept something less. Any higher rate increase would require an ordinance and a whole lot of noticing if we were going to go above the MCI. But this is just a simple consideration approval to accept up to the MCI increase, which in this year's case is a 3.19% increase across all the different water rate brackets.
Did we lose money again this year in the water?
I mean, because we use water for other cost centers, it depends how you look at that.
Did the water utility fund lose money this past fiscal year?
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how to. While we're talking about water, I don't know that I could honestly answer that question the way that you're asking, Counselor Miles, because we use the water fund to certainly pay for other cost centers, staff, and things like that. So it's a.
Well, we said that we made money on the solid waste collection. And so we're making too much money off our folks, our members of the public. But if we lost money in the water fund, which we did according to the audit, 2 years in a row, should we double the amount of the increase because we lost money?
Well, and to that point, I know you're making a rhetorical point. That would be an option for the town council, but that would require ordinances and noticing. But it could be
that very facetious.
No, I was about to say, we're already paying, some of us in town are paying double water bill. Average is $120 to $130 a month. We're watering our lawns with potable water when we were supposed to have reclaimed. Okay, that's in the past. And now here we are talking about an increase. Is this increase getting passed on to the consumer?
Well, this increase would be the increase in the town rate. So this would be for.
This is the authorized amount per our ordinance.
Right. Yeah. And last year we didn't do any.
And last year we waived it.
We waived it, got it, but we've got. I mean, how expensive is the water going to get here in Howell?
So the base rate would be going from residential potable 3402 to 3510. So $1.08 for the base rate. Percentage 3.19.
So to your point, if you're spending $120 a month times what did you say?
3.19.
You're talking about an extra just shy of $4 a month.
And is that your whole bill, or is that just water?
Is that the rate we use?
No,
sanitation.
Irrigation is.
Irrigation is at a lower rate, and the average irrigation is between $45 to $50, $38 to $48 per month.
And do you guys have because somebody asked.
2 meters.
Right, and do you have a minimum fee for your irrigation? So even if you don't use it, it's like.
You're still going to pay it anyway,
Yeah. Then over 5,000, if you don't use it at all, you pay.
You still
the same
pay.
amount, $30 odd.
So like 34.10.
Correct.
Is that the same in Talashay also?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, and how was that figure derived?
The only difference is, Tim, that if you use more because you are using irrigation and not using it for drinking and flushing.
He's saying if even if you don't, you go ahead, Donald.
Then the rate charges per the number of gallons. So you go 5,000, I'm just paraphrasing here, to 10,000, 10,000 to 20,000. Those rates are less than what you are using on your potable side.
Right.
So we are getting a break on that.
Right.
But it's to Renee's point, it's still expensive water. Now, I don't know how expensive it is in comparison to others. The only thing I would say on this particular one, Renee, is that whilst last year we did waive it, and I think that was the right thing to do, we're now into a $12 million project for water. And I think that it will be probably not wise this year to be able to do that. The other thing, out of the water fund last year, we did have a lot of the costs from different departments associated within the costs in the water. That is not so in this new budget going forward, because guess what? We need all of the money. So hence those costs are staying into the general fund, which is the reason why the general fund is a little heavy. So, you get it from one place, you get it from the other place. It's great for those costs to be taken out of the water fund, but there's a drain on it because obviously of the work that we're doing. So I think in this instance, passing this on this year is something probably we should do.
Something we should do. I agree with that. We need to pass it on, so I would make a motion to approve the proposed increase in the water rate.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any public comment on this?
And by the way, I moved from Mount Dora to here 10 years ago. My water bills in Mount Dora for my single family house were in excess of $400 a month.
Joshua Huseman, 671 Avila Place.
And I had no leaks.
So we moved here from Apopka, who does have actually reclaimed water. Our rates were never increased. I paid $40 to $50 a month. I would caution you not to pass this. Just recently in Apopka, they had to do a 10 to 15% jump because they did not do the increases. Now, I'm not saying I want my water bill to increase. I average $250 to $300 a month. And I have a smart irrigation system that when it rains, it doesn't water. But I think this month I paid $110 for my irrigation.
Remember, you're
Now-
only supposed to do it once a week.
Oh, I only do it once a week, but again, that is only once a week. You gotta keep in mind I have a half acre lot. So I do have a lot of water that goes out.
You got a ratio?
I have a ratio, yes. It's phenomenal with a weather
I
station.
understand, I have one.
Yeah.
But what I am puzzled with, because mine only comes on a Sunday because I'm a good boy.
Mhm.
And frankly, I didn't even reach the 5,000 gallons this last month because we've had so much rain that it's just not watering it. So I'm not quite sure why yours is
It's
that amount of money.
the property size, I believe. And
Well,
again, it's funny because JJ, I even talked to him and he's like, we should use these as an example because mine doesn't water that much.
Sure.
There's times where I water on Saturday. That's my day to water. It doesn't water. We get water. I read the zones and it basically just shuts it off. But it's still, again, I was 109 this month. And you got to figure, I think my minimum's around 40,
Yeah,
35 to 40.
It is.
But again, to properly water, it does. And again, I just let the system run itself.
But you have to, you still have to set
That's
the amount of time that
Well,
little
absolutely.
pop-ups.
Yes.
So I set mine at like 8-12 minutes.
Yeah, mine are 10 to 15 tops, but that is another thing in Talashe. I don't know what they were thinking when they did it. They did tons of rotaries, which of course lose more water. And again, my property initially, I had rotaries up against my house. I actually pulled those and put pop-ups in so I could water less. But there's a lot of homes in Talashe. You'll look at their front yards and they have rotaries in their front yard.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, oh, absolutely.
I've got rotors on my front yard, and of course I've got a pie-shaped part, so I got a third of an acre, and I don't know how many rotors I've got. And they just use water like it's going out of fashion. So, but anyway, thank you. Any other public comment? Let me close that out.
Public comment online.
Go for it. You're ready.
Good evening, Council. Francis O'Keefe Wagler, 409 West Central Avenue. I would like to talk about potable water. Several years ago, when Martha McFarland was mayor, for 1 year, she gave relief to the residents of Venezia by reducing the potable water rate less than the actual rate of water for the town. It was supposed to be a 1 year grace, and it has never been brought up again to be voted on to continue that grace. But yet, Renee just said she pays less in potable water than she does in the water that comes into her house. So it's still going on. We would not be $26,000 in arrears if we were charging what the actual water costs to all the residents, whether they're using it to take a shower in their home or they're showering their lawn. I'm very surprised that this wasn't reconsidered as many times as we reconsider everything, that all these years that have gone by, that this is still something that is allowed. It was a 1 year grace that Martha gave.
No, I think that you have it misconstrued, Fran. That's not what's going on here. It was not a grace period. It was reduced because we are from Venezia as well as Talashe are paying double the water. We have 2 meters.
I understand
And so
that.
because those meters, we are paying the full water rate for potable water, and we pay a lower rate for irrigation. And it's not a grace period. It is a bill that we are paying on a monthly basis, 2 bills. And then the $26,000 is not a deficit. So I think there was something in the language somewhere you may be not understanding correctly.
Yeah, what they did is they, at one time, were charging 2 base fees, one for each meter. They eliminated one of the base fees so that they only had to pay 1 base fee.
No, we're not. We still pay
We
2 base.
we still pay
It's
2
not-
base fees.
No, it's not the base fee.
It's not, it's the meter.
The water improvement fee,
Correct.
which is the.
Yes,
the
you're
money
right.
to pay
It
back
was
the
a lot.
loan.
It was a $10. You were paying $20 a month instead of $10.
But it is appropriate that the irrigation rate be a lower rate than the
Because the
potable
town
rate.
cannot provide the reclaimed water yet.
Morgan, you had something?
I just wanted to remind council and residents, every year when this is brought up, we hear a lot of residents that live within Talashe and Venezia talk about paying more and paying double because they pay for their potable water and their irrigation water. And that the irrigation water is potable water. Every resident in the town of Howey uses potable water for irrigation.
Yes.
Venezia and Talashe pay less on their reuse meter for potable water for irrigation. The rest of the town does not. They pay full price for their irrigation unless they have a irrigation well, which
Well, a lot
there
of
has
them-
been
a lot of
some
them don't
permitted.
even have irrigation systems. That's the other thing. They're just paying for the potable water that
That's
goes.
true. There is some, but a lot of residents in town have an irrigation
And it
system hooked to
depends,
their
of
potable
course,
water.
what grass you've got. You know, if you've got Bahia grass, you really don't have to water it because it'll not need it. The problem that we have is that they put this darn zoysia grass. Sorry to interrupt you, Morgan. This zoysia grass, which they say is drought tolerant, and it is to a point whereby if you don't water it, it'll go brown. When you put water on it, it will come back, unlike St. Augustine, which once it's dead, it's dead. And that's half the problem. You know, you've got to keep your grass green because we are in an HOA, and I've already been written up for mine. And it's a problem because as soon as you don't keep it watered, up come the weeds, and then you get written up for the weeds. It's a terrible grass, but it's what we've got, and I've got about 6 others scattered around my lawn because it's really hard to do anything with it. But anyway, we got slightly off track there. So
Yeah, we've made a motion and you seconded.
So,
okay, and we've had public comments. So this is a water rate increase, so we'll have a roll call vote, please. John.
Counselor Arnold,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Everline,
yes.
Counselor Lanneman,
Yes.
Counselor Miles,
Yes.
Mayor Wells.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, we should be able to skip through this next part fairly quickly. You've obviously seen all the reports.
Yep.
Finance report was added late, but there are errors in it, so I'll get them fixed and then it can come back out again. Town manager, do you have anything?
Very quickly, so the opening of the 12-inch water main RFP submissions will be this Thursday, the 13th at 10:15 a.m. We do have upcoming, workshop tomorrow, 1 o'clock, last budget workshop with lunch provided. So that's Tuesday, August 11th at 1, which would then be followed in September, as I said earlier in the meeting, Wednesday, September 9th and Wednesday, September 23rd at 5:05 p.m. for the public hearings for the budget. And I'm not sure if Mr. Brock has any notes on the election qualifying period.
It ends on Friday.
It ends on Friday.
Friday noon.
Friday noon for election qualifying. So thank you very much.
How many candidates have filed?
Currently have 7 candidates that have filed, 3 of which are fully qualified.
How many are
Three
fully?
have qualified.
3 have fully qualified.
Okay. So 4 of them have not yet fully qualified?
That is correct. They're in some level of qualification.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add is, Sean, I had asked when we hire somebody to let us know. Please let us know when somebody leaves. Like I found out the building services person left by seeing it on the marquee.
Yeah.
So if you could just send a short email, just blanket email out to everybody, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilor Arnold?
So we had the town councilor questions, PCQ, like the PMQ. Last Wednesday, it went pretty well. We had 4 folks show up. I didn't think anybody would. So the whole purpose again is for folks who can't make it here. Hopefully they can make the Wednesday meeting, 6:15, 6:45, hard times, but anyone can show up for the town councilor questions. And, last week with 4 people, it was kind of a discussion, not really questions and answers. So it's also a good way to get some ideas in front so that, if you don't think you can get your point across during a town council meeting, you can get a town councilor. So we're going to keep doing that for August and see how it goes.
Councilor Miles?
I have nothing.
Renee?
Yes, I have a question in regard to the storage. They were working on it and then nothing's going on now.
Built them out?
And then it's the trucks are back out there.
Mr. Cates, do you have any update on that in particular?
More with, doing the development of the pads and the stormwater pond, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you for that. And then another question I have is in regard to Dr. Etch, the veterinarian. What's going on with him, with them? Do we
Their final
know?
site plan will go before P and Z this month.
Nice, awesome. And then lastly, in regard to the parking that is supposed to be taking place behind the Pancake House, where are we with that?
Well, they have their 5 parking spaces that are designated as parking spaces within their property, their graveled area. But beyond that, I mean, they paid into a parking fund. The parking fund does not have any money to do much of anything at this point, so it's a fund with a little bit of seed money, I guess we could say.
Right, I think the amount they paid was 9,500.
9,000?
Yeah, and I think the amount to pave the town property back there would be, Morgan, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was around 100,000
It'd be less than that.
to pave it? Oh, okay.
Okay, good. I was asking that question actually on behalf of a citizen was talking to me about the parking.
We did talk about paving the gravel area behind the restaurant.
What is the 90,000? That's the number I had gotten.
We had reduced it.
Yeah, we reduced it to
90,000 was on the table and we reduced it.
And reduced it to 9, got it.
By 90%.
Okay, thank
But
you.
yeah, I mean, until we have enough money in the parking fund, there's really no parking projects on the horizon. Mr. Cates, did you want to say something?
I didn't want to interrupt Counselor Lenneman's question. I just wanted to throw a plug out there. Howey-in-the-Hills will be joining with Lake County again for Lake County Waterway Cleanup. It'll be September the 9th at Griffin Boat Ramp from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. So it'd be September the 19th.
Oh, the 19th.
Yeah, 19th.
Awesome.
And we'll be putting out a flyer and posting stuff online, so.
Thank you for that. So I do have something I need to say. I know that we are up on an election season where there are quite a few candidates. And this is something that has been really strong on my heart. I spoke about this and that I took the time to write out something. And I'm sorry to keep the council a little bit later, but I just need this out here. And yes, I voted against it, but now my headache's gone, so I'm good. That's how we do. And so here's the question that I have. And as we contend for the council seats, no matter who is running, the one thing that I want to say is are you a fault finder or are you a fact finder? Last week, I had the opportunity once again to quietly listen to citizens in Howey-in-the-Hills speak and post information that was not entirely true. Much to my disappointment, I saw a them versus us ideology growing. And in a small town such as what we have here, in the midst of a development getting built out by a company known as Sunbridge, and the community is Panther Run. It is over 2,000 acres from the Florida Turnpike to the Howey borders. And then Leesburg once again has approved another large development that will impact Howey. This town has some very serious decisions to make for sustainability and one lawsuit from dissolution as an independent township if certain things do not happen properly. My public service announcement that I do want to say, are you an inviter or a divider? In a small town, we know each other's names, our families, our stories, and sometimes, unfortunately, our disagreements. But here's the question that I have, not only for all of us in this town, but for every candidate that is running, and including myself. And that is, are we an inviter or a divider? Well, I think that for me, I'm that inviter, and I've been a bridge builder since the time of being on this council and prior to being on the council. A divider asks the questions, whose side are you on? And an inviter says, how can we move forward together? A divider keeps score of who's done what wrong, and an inviter looks at what we can do right together. a divider, we don't belong here kind of attitude, and an inviter say, come sit and let us make this town a better place. We don't have to agree on everything, but we do have to live in this town together. And one of the things that is very bothersome to me, that when I see things that are not 100% correct or true, the same way that everyone had many different things that they did not like about what this council did, or votes that this council has voted on, or different items that have been brought before this council, this particular council has taken the heat for things that we were making decisions on, approvals from years and years ago, and now we're here in 2026 having to make the hard decisions to survive and sustain this town. So what I'm inviting everyone to do is to please be an inviter and not a divider, not a finger pointer and say what could have been done and what should have been done, because we could all say that in any area of life. And what I am asking everyone to do, as you run your race, you run it strong and you run it truthful, but you also be an inviter and not a divider. And that is my public service announcement that I've been sitting on for over a week. Thank you for your time and for your indulgence.
May I have a question? So that development there by the turnpike, will all that land?
Yes, sir.
That's Panther Run?
They have named it as of this week. It is called Panther Run. It is over 2,144 acres. It is going to have a big box store, which they have not given the name of what that store is going to be. I will not say what I think it's going to be. There is going to be private homes, single homes, luxury apartments, cottages, a 55 plus community, over 20 parks. And that is, if you look at it, they have cleared from our exit almost to the villages and up on the backside of Howey. Right up on our, it is going to be, Tim, I haven't done all the math, but it's going to be well, you're talking about approximately, yeah, thank you, John.
With what's going on off the Dewey Robbins, I heard the total's gonna be like 5.
Yes.
Yeah, they were gonna do 5,400 on that one by the turnpike. The Groveland got that down. I think it's still gonna be somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000. But what they're also doing is the developer is paying to have a interchange with the turnpike at O'Brien Road.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
going to help the traffic coming out of
Yeah.
there and obviously accessing the turnpike.
Absolutely. So my PSA is whether for the next council in the next 2 to 4 years for the town of Howey-in-the-Hills, this is going to be very, very, very important, because everything that is happening around us is suffocating Howey-in-the-Hills, and this town will be impacted tremendously with traffic, with no revenue. I'm not even getting into the history of what I've learned of how Howey literally gave away the property that belonged to Howey all the way to the turnpike. So we're going to end there. Thank you for indulging me and thank you for your time.
It's done over 20 years ago, by the way.
I learned, I actually saw the document, and it was because Howey was asleep at the wheel. And yeah, and yeah,
That's why they made the decisions.
yeah. So we can't afford to be asleep at the wheel. We've got a lot of work to do. And whether I am on council or not voted back in, I'm going to be very active about what's going on, because we are one lawsuit or just a matter of wrong decision making that can make this town not in a good place.
I just have two things. One is Tim and I are going to be attending the Florida League of City Conference Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week down in Hollywood. So we'll look forward to seeing what they're all talking about. One of the things that is going to be discussed down there is the amendment for property taxes, and we'll bring that back to you. The only other thing that I wanted to bring up, I did send you an email earlier today or yesterday, but I didn't get a response for it, so I'll bring it up now. And that is that throughout the budget and also in the agenda, Oscar is still referred to on those as the office supervisor. And in your reshuffle and your movement of responsibilities, you gave him the title of office manager and you gave the title to Kim as town hall manager. But that doesn't seem to have got its way round to the paperwork. And just looking on here, it's finance supervisor. So if you did do that, can we address that to ensure that they're getting their correct titles?
Business cards too.
So,
Okay, what are the new titles?
Instead of the supervisor title, it's a manager title. So town hall manager instead of town hall supervisor and finance oh, sorry. I already turned it off. Finance manager rather than finance supervisor and town hall manager rather than town hall supervisor.
I thought you were saying Oscar was office manager.
No. And
So that puts all directors and managers directly under the town manager.
And I'll be attending the training and education seminar via Zoom.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, I'll welcome a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:54.
Yeah, she did okay.
She responds.
Oh, yeah, but yeah.
Go home and take care of her.
Yeah, they were not supposed to release their place. They always slow it down instead of like a. Yeah, don't.